evening, Trav.
Hi.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm better. You didn't call me doctor this week. So.
No, I don't. Your credentials have expired.
Thank goodness.
That last lawsuit kind of did it.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 87, Unite the Divided. Tonight, kind of a special episode. We had a guest that was planning to come on, had a family issue come up. I want to warn everyone. So what's the podcast episode name is AI in the Heartland or something like that? Algorithms in the Heartland. So it's all things AI. I do want to say this episode is not about doom and gloom necessarily. It's also not about AI total optimism. So what me and Travis are going to try to do a little differently tonight is kind of take sides on the AI conversation. And we may switch sides in the middle about what seems, a little more doomy or a little more optimistic. Ultimately, what we both want, I think, is for AI to help us in our business ventures, in our personal life as much as possible. But we are also trying to navigate the potential harms with what AI could bring to the table. And I'm definitely more engaged in listening to a bunch of different influencers and podcasters in this space. I'm listening to AI influencers, people that have started at Google, started at all these companies, and are talking about their experiences and why they are now gloomers or doomers or whatever. I mean, so what I don't want to do is just because something sounds, let's say, it just sounds too negative. I don't want to ignore those negative signals. I want to listen to what the people have to say and then pay attention to what they're predicting as it's happening, and then readjust what we think is going on in the world at the time. So the purpose of this conversation, me and Travis might get a little more edgy with each other tonight than regular, right?
Maybe
just because
some of our group chats,
you just completely disagree, and I like the complete disagreement, and somewhere in the middle I think we'll meet.
I'm a little more optimistic, and you're a little more.
I think I'm very optimistic in some things.
Okay.
I'm very optimistic in the short term. I am very, very optimistic in the short term. I think the long term horizon to me gets a little more iffy, just because you and I and all the people in AI today are making the rules today. And we are dealing, and we're seeing the things that we're seeing, and we're dealing with the things that we're seeing right now, but we have no idea how that's going to change 50 years from now or 100 years from now, or when your kid is our age, or when my kid is my age, with how rapidly things have changed. And let me just say, I'm going to frame it with this. I've got a lot of notes over here. I don't know how closely I'm going to stick to them, but this whole thing to me kind of sounds and seems like similar to social media getting kind of thrown upon us and thrown upon our kids. And they just download apps and they just start getting on things, and then all of a sudden there's bullying and there's grooming and there's all these crazy things, and we as humans and we as parents, we as whatever, have not really, our caveman brains don't adjust to things nearly that fast. So like part of it to me is it's all coming so rapidly, and I hope for the best. I don't want the worst, but I think it's conversations like this that are going to hopefully bring some clarity to local communities, but ultimately people listening right now at home now, or if you listen to it later, you need to get engaged in this conversation. Please contact me or Travis or whatever, and we want to have conversations with the local community and Southern Indiana folks.
Yeah, you've said that before fairly recently about the social media, the relationship, or the analogy of social media being thrust upon our youth and things. And I see that. Thankfully, there have been some companies who have come out with some software to help you navigate some of that. I know Bark is the one that I always see commercials and things for, and I think to myself, well, when my daughter gets old enough, I'm going to have to look into this Bark software. And with that, you can, well, from what I've read, I don't know entirely because I haven't done a deep dive in this software, because once again, my daughter's not old enough yet. But apparently, you are able to track. You're able to see text messages, social media use. You're able to location. With my kind of business class internet setup that I have, I can control devices. I can control who gets Wi-Fi, when they get Wi-Fi, if they get Wi-Fi, what that throughput is, all of those things. So when it comes time to, like, some people take away their kids' phones at night. They don't let them take their phones like to their bed with them, into their bedroom. I actually, on my Facebook, there's a girl that I went to school with, woman, I guess now. I hate to think that I'm old, but a woman that I went to school with who kind of chimed in and asked for advice, or not really advice, just, had a little bit of a back and forth with some folks about how they navigate their teens' phone usage. And mainly her issue with social media too. Because, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of peer pressure, there's a lot of things that are done in either social media or via text messaging or messaging, whatever app you might use, that you can't really take back. That I know there's a girl that went to the school where my wife went, and she sent a few pictures to a boy, and that boy, eventually the whole school saw those pictures after it was all said and done. So it's just, I try to give little tidbits to my daughter that if it's ever put on the internet, it is never going to be able to come off of it. Like, there's no way you can remove it from everywhere. You just can't. Yeah. There's just really no way. So anyway, but yeah, so my point with that, which I went on a little tangent there, thinking about my daughter and social media and having to really be careful with that, is that you and I have actually talked about creating a software or creating a program that will kind of help you navigate your way through AI, kind of like your own personal AI, as you've said it. And I don't think that's a bad idea. We kind of, scratched 0.01% of the surface of the idea of being able to do this, and we haven't really gone through. And this is probably an off-camera conversation to have, but I think it's a good idea, because it's kind of like that bar cap. That was where my whole point was going, was to have some way to help, not really control necessarily, but to monitor and make sure that things are being done in a way that you want them to be done, regardless of how you want them. I mean, you're able to choose that path. At least, in Bark, you can choose how secure or how less secure, or, how much you've got everything nailed down. I think to be given the ability to is really what I don't think anybody should be required to, or I don't think there should be any, have-tos in this whole situation, but to be able to set your parameters however you would like to do that with your own personal program or own personal AI or software or whatever it ends up being, to be able to tell it how you want it to help protect you or navigate you through, is this video real or was this AI created? Is it picture real AI? The song that we're going to talk about later, hopefully, completely AI created.
And it took us a real long time to write it, too.
Real long time. 30 seconds. I'm trying to, long enough for you to type in the title of our show tonight.
Well, yeah, so I created the title just using a bunch of different prompts in Grok and thinking about what we want to talk about, and it spit out like 20. We narrowed it down, and we took 2 titles and kind of smashed them together. Mm-hmm. So then all I did was say, theme is yacht rock. Mm-hmm. The title of the podcast is, here's the title, create a song. And we were both, it's a good song.
It's a good, I would like to listen to the whole song. When we go to play it, I know that nobody wants to listen to 3.5 minutes of an AI song,
right?
But it's a good song.
It is a good song.
And when we do play it, if we do at least let it play for a good amount of time, if we can have the lyrics up, I think there's some really good lyrics to this. Yes. It's crazy.
Just based on a title.
Based on just the title, and to put it in the form of yacht rock. We decided yacht rock tonight, guys, because I don't know, we're old. No, I told him I was in a weird mind space. I kind of been listening to some John Mayer today for whatever reason, and he had.
I listen to Jimmy Buffett radio.
Or Jimmy Buffett. I love Jimmy.
It's the same kind of genre.
But John had an album that came out called Sob Rock, and the whole album was just yacht rocky, and it's a really good album, personally. But anyway, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and so I'm going to give a shout out to a company that doesn't need a shout out from us, and they're not paying us. They don't even know that I'm going to shout them out. But we had I grilled some turkey, marinated turkey from Odin Locker before Travis came over, and we sat out on the deck, kind of pre gaming, and
Speaking of pre-gaming, I don't have a glass with any bourbon in it.
Anytime, well, it's right there. I didn't know how quick.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. Continue.
Go right into it if we want to.
Odin. Yep.
So Odin, Odin Locker. Anyway, like it's interesting. It's an Amish. I think it's pretty sure it's a Amish ran, award-winning shop. Is what it says. It's a butcher shop. Maybe if it's not Odin, if it's not Amish, I apologize. But there definitely were a lot of Amish working in there. And when you walk in the door, if you're more familiar with like Daywigs down here in our neck of the woods, Odin is, to me, it seemed much bigger, but like similar. Like you walk into you walk into our local Daywigs, and they have a freezer there, and they're like the thing that everybody wants. Well, you walk into Odin Locker, and the marinated chicken or
like it was marinated and everything.
The marinated turkey. Right? It's they only get it's the marinated turkey. You don't get different flavors.
It's good. It's like a mesquite kind of smoke. Like it was. I thought you marinated in some type of light barbecue sauce or something.
I marinated in whatever Odin Locker decided to marinate in. And so our neighbors gave it to us when my wife got injured here, several months ago or last year, or whatever it was, and they cooked it. And I'm like, oh my God, you just created the best thing ever. And he's like, I took it out of the package, I put it on the grill.
Threw it on the grill.
And so I'm like, where was this? And so then me and my buddy Stratman then, I don't know how many months ago, we went up to visit one of his kids at IU, or both of his kids at IU. And on the way back, he's like, let's stop by Odin Locker. I'm like, I didn't even resonate that it was the same turkey that we had gotten. But like right when you walked in again, a huge freezer, like everyone that walks in the door gets in like, how many of these do we need until we come back next?
So
that's really what it is. How many of these marinated turkeys do we need? Anyway, shout out to them. No money is coming from that. It's just delicious.
Delightfulness in my stomach that I will have more of later on the way out.
Fantastic.
Unless Sean eats it all. I don't know.
No, more. You got to worry about my teenager son more than that.
So I need to hit it before he gets here.
That's right.
That's true, or it'll be gone.
So I apologize. I'm shifting glasses a little bit. One's a cheater reader and the other's not. But so we're not going to get right into clips probably straight away. But I do want to give a little bit of a theme tonight. So I listened to a couple different podcasts with a gentleman named Tristan Harris. Travis, I forgot the exact term that you call him. He's a doomer, more of a doomer. But it's not
doom and gloom.
It's not really doomer. It's like, here's the thing, and this is, you and I probably agree that he was definitely on the doomer gloomer side. But what he probably knows, he's a very smart guy. He's worked for Google for a very long time. He was actually a part of the movie The Social Dilemma, for anybody that watched that. So he's seen this pattern happen with social media, and now he's seeing AI, which to me is obviously much more powerful than social media, because it's using social media, but it's also learning behaviors from each individual, and it's tapping into those behaviors and using our own weaknesses against us. And so I wanted to introduce him as an expert that's going to be in these clips, only again because he is an insider. And the movie, was it called the AI doc?
The AI doc. Well, it was the AI doc, and then I had a colon and a bunch of stuff.
So we have a clip.
How I became an AI apocalyptic something.
Yeah. So we have a clip that we're going to share. That's basically what is the thing for a movie?
Trailer?
A trailer clip from the AI doc, and you did hit the nail on the head. Like the 80% of the trailer is doom and gloom. Like it sounds like AI is going to ruin the world.
I think I said it was actually 90-10, but
yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. Let's start arguing now on the percentage.
Hang on, let me put my gloves on.
I'm going to fight over this 10%.
Yeah, it's mostly doom and gloom and very little. But there is a little. There's about 15 to 20 seconds of optimism.
So I think, as a marketing person, as someone that just pays attention to media and to news, I mean, some call it fear porn, but fear and scaring people basically is what creates headlines that create clicks and whatever. So
yeah, no,
I don't want to lean into that for leaning into that sake, because I am acknowledging that it is doomy and gloomy, maybe too much. At the end of the day, however, I think where he has a point is, if we just sit back and let things happen idly by like we did with social media, AI as it is today is advancing so rapidly that we don't have the amount of time that we had with, should our kids be on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok? I mean, we don't have really the time to do that. I don't think. That's where I don't think I'm doomy and gloomy. I think it's coming very rapidly, and we're having to adjust every day. I mean, I've one of the guys that I want to get on to in this podcast series, because we're going to start doing a regular AI podcast, He's very integrated with Google. He's worked directly with Google for several years. And I saw him a couple of weeks ago. He was telling me how he's using AI, and then I saw him a few days ago. And he's like, I'm using AI completely differently than I was using AI 2 weeks ago when we talked. So he is completely, every time there's some new iteration or whatever, and he may be bouncing from one platform to the next, Grok or Perplexity or all these different things. I have no idea, because we were going to talk about that on the podcast, and we will. But the reality of it is, most people listening to this podcast right now don't want to be paying attention to this stuff. So I think it's important for people like us, and even here in Southern Indiana, I feel we're, I always made a joke of it growing up, Travis, and probably where you grew up was even worse. Like, we're always 10 years behind everything. Yeah. Like, something hits New York City or a big city, and like, okay, that's not coming here anytime soon. Well, social media sped a lot of that up, and now AI is speeding it up even more. So I feel like if we're trying to impact, have a community impact here in our area, if we're letting those conversations happen in larger cities and just waiting for it to trickle down and to decide what we're getting, I think we're behind the 8 ball. Like, it's happening too fast, and we're going to get sold something that's not really what we want. If that makes sense. Like, we need to be putting the guardrails up where we want the guardrails. We're like, we want to look at a model that's in a larger city and say, we don't like this. We like this. We don't like this. We need more of that, or however we're protecting ourselves. And I think you made a really good analogy, and I want to compliment you a little bit there at the beginning, because you were talking about monitoring your house and censoring and kind of monitoring what your daughter looks at. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like that's what we have with what our government is doing for us and these AI companies. Like, they kind of have their finger on what we can and can't see, and the level of information that we can see in a certain area, whether it's a pro narrative or a negative narrative, if it's a anti-Trump or a pro-Trump. I mean, depending on what you're searching for, you get more and more of it. You know what I mean? So they can, like, if you make some weird search, now you're just getting hit over the head with this thing that's kind of just like hitting your dopamine. Like, oh yeah, I searched for it. I knew that was right. It's going to keep hitting you over the head, and it's going to give you that cognitive dissonance of, yeah, I'm right. All these videos are showing me. Never mind that it's a fake video. Never mind that it was created in 30 seconds with a song attached to it that's catchy.
Really good song.
I mean, so it's completely manipulative, and that's where I think you and I probably can agree on where we're going to be today, and looking at these clips. So I'm looking at it as, it's really interesting. Anybody that's a music creator like yourself, my wife is a musician. It's hugely impressive and also completely sad all at the same time.
It really is. I mean, I'll agree with that. Yeah. And I work with AI every day. I mean, I do work with AI development and software development for my company. So I mean, I see what it can do. I see what it can do, kind of where we're at right now, and then I see, but it doesn't. Ours doesn't quite. All of these softwares and things have their own niche and things, but man, Suno it does make a musician a little sad, because it wrote a great song, and for no joke, your prompt was the title of the show today.
I just asked you. We talked about the title, so that took us a little more than 30 seconds. A couple minutes to come up with the title. I mean, really.
We did smash two together.
And I maybe did 2 minutes worth of prompting I need titles for this podcast. Here's what we're going to be talking about. And I gave it actually 3 full transcripts from 3 different podcasts. Okay. And put that in the prompt. And I said, these are the things we're going to be talking about. Help me come up with the title for tonight's podcast. Kind of. So that's, but it takes me a minute to pull the transcript up and copy it.
But still.
I mean, there was no brain power. I didn't use any brain power except for knowing the question to ask and knowing where to get the information.
Not even the brain power, the talent. Like, I mean,
no talent.
And I'm not saying you don't have any talent, but
in this particular instance, I used 0 talent.
You used 0. I'll give you that. We both used 0. I said that I liked the algorithm. I already forgot what we called it now. Here, wait, I can pull it up real quick because I just sent it to you. So, algorithms in the Heartland, and then we say Chad and Travis talk about AI's impact on Southern Indiana life and society. And what's kind of funny is, part of it, and we'll play it here in a little bit, but it does have a little bit of that small town, like kind of slower. I don't say slower, but just kind of a small town feel to it. It talks about
Also,
vinyl.
wait, also
vinyl
not
seeds.
also
Yeah,
not getting paid. Not getting paid.
We do like our buffalo. We do like our buffalo.
A quick shout out to my buddy Goggin, who
I will say if I take my shirt
gives
off,
me a good
I kinda
discount
look
on the
like
bourbon.
I kind of look like a buffalo if I take my shirt off. So I don't know if you can see how hairy I am. But
shout out to Goggin because he gives me a very good deal on the bourbon, and
you're spilling it on the Mac.
It's just podcast bourbon.
You're spilling it on the Mac, man. It'll just
we bought a new one just for that reason.
give it some character, just for you to spill more on it. No.
It's a hazard of a working environment. So it's every once in a while
It'll evaporate. It might eat off some of it.
So I think we can either get a little doomy gloomy and come back with a positive. So we can watch. Let's share the AI Doctor official trailer, and then we'll come right back with the song and spin things back to the positive. Because the yacht rock, you don't listen to yacht rock and get in a bad mood.
No.
I mean, it is a very you don't really use your brain. You're just like you're just kind of going along.
Nice day drinking some.
Nice day drinking. I like Zach Brown, like toes
I love some
toes in the water, ass in the sand. I mean, it's kind of that kind of thing. So I'll pull this up, which will get us in a doomy spot.
If this
for
technology
a second.
goes wrong.
Hang on one second. I'm not quite there yet. I'll get rid of. Oh, geez, all these things.
Oh, geez, don't you know it? Here, I'll turn your volume down so that we don't bombard anybody with that again until you get it all queued up.
So this is the AI doc. This is not Tristan Harris's show. This is somebody else has created this, but he plays a fairly significant contributor role in it, I believe. Mm-hmm. And you're going to definitely recognize, if you're not watching, I think maybe we'll summarize and say, like, a lot of the major AI players are in here, and like the
Claude's creator, I think.
Claude's creator's in there. ChatGPT's not the creator, but the guy that basically stole it from Elon.
Can't remember if Perplexity's guy was in there or not. It showed it just real quickly went through, and it had little captions.
So if you want, I think it's worth looking at. If you can look at your screen right now, if you're driving or something, please don't do that. But if you can see this, and maybe if I remember correctly, when they're listening to the audio, we can't speak at the same time.
We won't speak in it now.
So
we're going to fix that issue, I promise. Guys,
we've got some great funding coming in from some awesome people that I'm going to definitely be giving shout out to here in a little bit. But let's listen to this clip, and then we're going to try to come back and put some sugar on it, and then kind of get into the meat of the conversation today.
All right.
If this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
Your fear of AI is the collapse of humanity.
Well, not the collapse, the abrupt extermination. There's a difference.
So I started making this movie because my wife is 6 months pregnant. Is now a terrible time to have a kid.
I mean, let's be honest. I know people who work on AI risk who don't expect their children to make it to high school.
How does AI understand pretty much everything?
It's surprisingly straightforward.
Intelligence is about recognizing patterns.
Patterns.
If you have learned those patterns, you can generate new information. AI is moving so fast.
It's being deployed prematurely. There's so much potential for things to go wrong.
Why can't we just stop?
All these companies are in a race
to get AI that's vastly more intelligent than people within this decade.
China, North Korea, Russia.
Whoever wins is essentially the controller of humankind.
We need to take a threat from AI as seriously as global nuclear war.
It feels like I have to find these CEOs and get them in the movie.
Great.
I want to ask you to promise me that this is going to go well.
That is impossible.
Okay.
Am I hopeful? Yes. Am I confident that it'll go right? Absolutely not. AI is the thing that can solve climate change.
We could cure most diseases.
What if it's expanding what is humanly possible?
This is the most extraordinary time ever. The only time more exciting than today is tomorrow.
I already love you.
Okay.
think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
By using AI, we're about to move off of the Earth into the cosmos.
If we can be the most mature version of ourselves, there might be a way through this.
This is the last mistake we'll ever get to make.
You're right, Jason. I'm an idiot. I didn't click the right button. Now there's sound.
From when?
From when we came back from the clip.
Okay. So I don't know how long ago that was. So we didn't have sound coming back from the clip. The clip was just not too long ago. So I apologize.
That's my fault.
We'll cut that out.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I totally had a mental note to do that.
So Jason is a supporter of the podcast. He listens. He's paying attention. He's helping us troubleshoot problems on the fly. Thank you, Jason Greer. I appreciate it. And shout out to you and your carpet cleaning business.
Yeah.
And you and your brothers, flooring, Greer Flooring. They are huge supporters of the podcast, and I greatly appreciate them. Sorry for that. I hope we didn't lose too many people.
Damn it.
Anyway, so to get where I don't remember where we were. So we were talking about
doom scrolling, Larry Bird controlling social media.
So
social media
AI is fully paying attention to my behavior. I watched one Larry Bird thing, and now it's just hit me over the head with all kinds of stuff. So, like
summarization of the last 10 minutes in a minute.
Was it 10 minutes?
I don't know.
Hopefully it wasn't.
Probably not.
Okay, we'll have to cut it before I go live, before I send it. Anyway, so let's get into a little bit of the positive side. So we talked about it a little in the beginning, and maybe we don't listen to the whole song, because what did you say, it was 4 minutes long or something?
It's like 3.5. I don't know how long it was. A normal song's about 3.5. So
yeah, but I mean, since people already had some dead sound, I came up with some title options for the podcast, and we were talking. I'm like, Travis, I didn't even create a song before you showed up today. We're just going to do it right now together, and we came up with the title to the podcast. And you're like, I'm kind of into yacht rock.
Yeah,
so I said, Suno is the software that I use. I did put the link to the song. There's 2 songs actually published from the night. We're only going to listen to one, and the other one was really, really good too. And we
liked the lyrics on this one more, but we liked the melody. I think
the melody, and maybe at the end we might play the other one just to hear the difference in melody. If anybody wants to hear it,
we can.
So I'm gonna play this, and
if I can remember to click the right buttons, we'll be good.
Jason, please let us know if sound does not come back.
Son of a business. All right.
I want to. Yeah. So I've already paid Travis and his bourbon. Should I?
So now I'm fired. Are you gonna take away my bourbon?
Let's comment on Facebook as to whether we should take away Travis's bourbon for payment tonight.
Yeah, well.
Here we go. Let's listen. Can you turn up the internal speaker just a little bit?
Cornfields and fiber lines, county fair plus online. Granddad's hands on a case combined, phone in his pocket reading headlines. Small town, big new word, machine learning sounds absurd. Coffee talk in a vinyl booth, arguing what's fake, what's truth. Algorithms in the heartland, writing songs and buying feed, helping out at the factory, taking notes on every need. From Main Street to the Quadland, we're just trying to understand. Are we holding on to something more human hand? Teacher grades at her desk late, screens suggest who might not graduate, helps her catch what she might miss. Still she wonders who chose this. Farmers checking the forecast trend, charts that almost feel like a friend. Saves him seeds, spares him loss, but who's the boss? Who's the boss? Algorithms in the heartland, tracking rain and checking yield, telling nurses in the night shift which room needs another shield. From river towns to mall bands, we're just trying to understand. Is this one more honest helper or a stranger on our land? Sunday drive past the old steel mill, now it hums on data and goodwill. One more tool at the hardware store, but tools can build or break down doors. So we talk it out on the front porch swing,
So again,
I clicked the right button.
Yay!
They can hear us.
It's sound back. Jason's not barking at us. So maybe we're going to have to pay somebody to listen to the podcast to make sure that we come back live whenever we're live.
I'll just have to look more closely. I was today.
We're going to put a post-it note.
If you've noticed, everybody, like, I'm taking it easy. I'm not switching scenes. We're keeping the same scene. I'm just trying to take it easy, be present. Because normally you don't hear me a whole lot. I don't chime in a whole lot because I'm over here
paying attention to all the
paying attention and sliding, moving faders and whatever.
You can't see the video, the lower half, but I did not take Travis's bourbon away.
Daddy was still nice.
It's still there. It's still there. So I mean, so this is just.
But that was weird. You put in the title of the show and make it sound like yacht rock, and that's what spit out. Nuts.
Let's talk about the positive and the negative about that. So the positive is really easy. Like anyone and everyone can feel like they're super creative. You need
no talent.
You can have I mean, so like if we actually spent time and worked with these lyrics and tweaked some things, it could get really, really, really good. Like it could.
Dude, I think that's a top 40 right there.
Yeah, some of those things. Well, it's really good. But I mean, there are some nuances that we could do to it using a little bit of talent.
Yeah.
But even you as a musician, if you could do some drum work over it, you can make some minor tweaks to it. But I mean, it does it so
pretty good.
Fast. So fast. And so
I mean, there's some hooks in there. Algorithms in the heartland.
It's really cool, but I think you and Shonda, my wife, said it.
Oh, it depresses the shit out of us.
Very depressing. And again, I just want to take this, and we're months out from being able to create, and let's say a year. And it gets better every time I.
Have you heard of vibe coding? By the way,
no.
You can use AI to be like, I'm thinking about a game where you do this and this and this and this, and make the game for me. It'll code the game for you. Then you can play the game after get done coding it. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Well, no,
that's another AI. You can make games through AI.
So I don't mind that as much. Look, and both of us have spent some time in coding. You've done a lot more. I was a late bloomer to coding, and I definitely am not a hacker, like professional coder. I did what I needed to do, then I hired someone to help me with coding to do the websites. I mean, I was
able to put a background on my MySpace.
I could auto build the crap out of a website, like the original AI that you could use a theme builder,
Oh yeah.
And I could do a little bit of coding and whatever, but I mean now I can do coding because I can simply ask Grok or one of these other platforms, say, I need to code to create this exact same thing. Here's what it is, and it'll spit the code out. And then all I do is
copy and paste,
insert it into the right place.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different little nuanced conversations that we can have in this. So not too many years ago, the quote unquote experts were telling us we needed to teach our kids or tell our kids that they need to learn coding, and because coding was going to create all these things.
That's going to be the future. I remember.
It's the future. It's not been that long ago.
No.
And so imagine going to school for your entire high school career, and then going to college and say I'm going to be a coder in coding, or not going to college. You can learn to code at home. You don't have to go to college. But it's like you spend all that time, then now all of a sudden AI is now able to do it faster and better than you are. That overlaps with this music part. But music is like artistic people that pour their passion and so what I'm not going to say, like local artists, people that play music in bars and in stadiums, I don't think that's going away anytime really, really soon.
No.
But the music creation process is definitely going to be way different forever. And there's no undoing that. So Trav, this is where I'm going to put a little pressure on you. Every time that you're going to push back on the negative aspects of these clips, because I want to look at the negative, be real about those, but then try to come back to the positive. I wanted to share the song again, and I want to share the story about the songwriting and share the and the creating of art, because it took away that fast. I mean, songwriting now anyone can do it. Mm-hmm. Really, I mean, anyone can do it. Mm-hmm. And so think about all the people they've spent their entire lives doing that. How does that make them feel? So when I drive down the road and I'm looking at all the crazy shit that people are doing, and Like the behavior is just weird. Something's just off. Like
you mean
people are
like the shootings.
People are driving weird. People are shooting people randomly. Like
we've had more shootings in the past 2 weeks than I recall. Like
things are just going off the rails a little bit, and you could blame a lot of different things. The Democrats are going to blame Trump, which I think is just a cop out.
I saw something. The theater thing yesterday was a drug deal went bad.
Oh, the theater thing, and that was connected to both sides of town.
Yeah, because it was
at Freddy's on the east side.
Freddy's over there. Yeah, they picked up. They picked up the driver, a woman, but I don't think she was the shooter. I think she dropped off the shooter. But she was. But they were using Flock to find the car. We can bring Flock up if you want, because we're definitely on different sides of that. So
we could spend an hour on Flock, and I don't.
I guess we're AI tonight, though.
Yeah, I don't. Flock is definitely a concerning thing for me.
It's kind of an AI a little bit.
Oh, definitely is AI. It's feeding AI. It's feeding data. It's feeding content. It's tracking people.
It's more just a program. It's more just a video program.
Okay. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. You're gonna pull me in the wrong rabbit hole today.
All right, fair enough. Sorry.
So I feel like tonight we're kind of dealing with, this is a national conversation because it's important for people, individuals in every household.
This isn't going to have boundaries.
It doesn't have any. It doesn't really have anything to do with living in Evansville or in Vanderbilt County, Gibson, Warwick, any of the surrounding counties. But again, I feel like if we just all bury our heads in the sand and we don't have the conversation, then we don't know. I mean, we have no control over what's coming our way. The way it is, I feel like we have very little control over what's coming our way, and we're just going to have to adjust in real time. Again, what I'll say is, though, the problem is we have caveman reptile brains that don't adapt to things very fast. I mean, evolutionary things like we were chased by big cats and we were afraid of cats and we had to learn how to build fire, and that was hundreds and hundreds of years. And so our threats didn't evolve and change that much. If a big asteroid came down out of the sky and blew things up, I mean, that's a threat that nobody could predict. They didn't know that it happened, and you just had to deal with it. But there's not the ongoing hitting you over the head with these things every day that it's kind of going on with. Like even me watching these clips, I could choose to say, well, that just sounds too doomy gloomy. I don't even want to deal with that. Mm-hmm. There's probably some mental health benefit to just saying that. You understand? I mean, I don't. So you not wanting to even address some of the things or just say that's too doomy, I do agree with you. But at the end of the day, it's like a firefighter. It's like, well, that fire is too hot. I don't really want to deal with that one because that fire just like that killed somebody last week. So it's too much. To me, this AI conversation is that it's like, do I believe these people that have outed themselves in these very large corporations, probably giving up a lot of money they could be in the middle of ChatGPT and making more and more money today. Instead, they're coming out as people that are warning people. There's no money in that. There's no money in what you and I are doing right now. But there's no benefit except for having community engagement and trying to make sure that we have proper guardrails and that we're aware of what's going on.
Yeah. So I think part of our back and forth on this, with you kind of being more the doom and gloom and me trying to be a little more optimistic. I mean, definitely being able to see the possibilities of bad, of things not going well, but trying to more see the good in it is kind of where I'm at, I think. But if you look back at any technological changes, I mean, think about like, I don't know. Say when farms went to using tractors and combines. There were a lot of people that were paid to go pick the crops and to go out and help get the yield and stuff, and
same story happened with the printing press before that. Well, people thought the world was going to end with the printing press.
Computers. People thought, computers were going to be the end of day. Like there's every time that there's a change, a big change. And I mean, because there are little small changes all the time. Vehicles have definitely changed from, the car that my mother drove when I was a kid versus what we drive now. I mean, there's a very drastic change in the past 35 years, but those are kind of minute change or, small changes that have occurred over time and that have kind of pretty much just made things better. Where when we look at AI and what it's doing, like I think it's hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around, first off, as far as under a lot of doom and gloomers at that time. About that, when I talked about combines and tractors for farming, you talked about the printing press. You no longer have all these people that are handwriting copies of books and holding a job doing that. Now it's just going to be a machine that's going to take over all these jobs, and we're all going to lose jobs and whatever. I think that I think we maybe as the human race, I don't know, is kind of tuned to try to see the bad more so than the good, like to just see the bad, the things that could go wrong.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I think it's for safety. I think there's a reason.
That's
for
fair.
It,
and here's what I just want to use your exact thing that you just said, because I heard what you said. I agree with you. Here's the difference. It's a time horizon. So when you said farm tractors and implements took over jobs of people being out in the fields, hoeing, whatever, that did happen, but it happened over a fairly lengthy period of time. So like farmers historically have never made a ton of money, like only
really massive farms.
Only massive farms now, and even then their margins they got to manage more and more for less and less. I mean, that's just the kind of the way things have gone. But so the first tractor, I mean, first of all, you were doing it by hand. Then you had a plow that you could put behind a horse. And so that made it easier. And most people could afford that because most people could use a horse to do other things. Or, I mean,
I was more talking about a combine. I think that was probably the big transition.
Yeah, but so even to that, like before, like we had banks that were just giving free loans to people to go buy a combine. Not everybody could afford a combine. And we also didn't have the distribution of the food that was being created at scale that we have. So it was really more local people creating food for local populations and distributing it locally. So the farm and implement thing to me is true, but it took a long time for that to, and while it took a long time to expand out, we also have to acknowledge that a lot of small farmers failed and were swallowed up by larger farmers that could afford the tractors and whatever. So there actually was a eating of their own. There was people that were farmers that had to go out and then become ironsmiths or laborers, or when the factories came, whatever. So there's an adjustment.
Due to the ease of use, the population was
there's
probably
an
able
adjustment.
to afford food more so. Probably.
There's an adjustment. There's a loss of revenue. Probably people having to sell their farms.
I would think it'd be a gain of revenue.
Having to sell their farms. Having to sell their farms.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of loss. There's a lot of pain in that, and we don't think about it because it seemed, well, that was a long time ago, and they just sucked it up and got over it. They did, but they still lost a lot of shit along the way, and it was still very painful. Now,
but not to everybody.
Everything's just fast now. Like everything now is like yesterday.
It's definitely a sign
yesterday
curve.
being a songwriter. You know, a year ago being a songwriter meant something very different than it does today being a songwriter. Like very different.
Do you know what it is to approach a limit if you look at a graph, like a limit, like it's constantly getting closer and closer?
Like a hockey stick? Yeah, like
it's kind of like a hockey stick, yeah. So I mean, I think we're in that. We're definitely like it was slower, and we're continually increasing, and now every 5 years it's dramatically different than it was 5 years previously. So I mean, yeah, I agree with that.
Well, and even bigger than that, it's like as things speed up, it halves like the time that it takes to get to the next big thing. Like I don't think we talked about in the intro clip. Well, maybe we did. So the other good friend who I'm trying to get on the podcast uses AI every day, kind of similar to you. But I think you're, and I'm not going to speak for you. We don't need to talk about your company, but you're using it specifically to create a certain thing and a certain product. He's using it for a bunch of different general things. So he's like bouncing all over the place trying to figure out what's the best.
He's using the AI to do things for what he needs it to do.
Right.
I'm creating an AI LLM for my company to be able to do what we want it to do.
Right.
So it's different.
It's very different.
He's using a tool. I'm creating
a tool. Very different.
I guess.
Very different. And you're using some AI to help you create the tool probably a little bit. Maybe.
Maybe a little bit, but not a whole lot.
A little bit. I mean, but I mean, the argument I think that's made in these clips, and I don't know if we're even going to get to them. We were a little late getting started, but it's
right.
like
it's only.
No, I mean all the clips. I had like 8 of them, and some of them are a little longer, a little shorter. But really, it is just throwing this concept out there, and then here's where I think we're falling flat in these conversations. Like whether you agree or disagree with the thing this Tristan Harris says, I think it's important to acknowledge what he's saying, and unless there's somebody on the other side of his position that can negate what he's saying, then you can't just ignore it. You know what I mean? I think it's important not to just bury your head in the sand. So I don't know. You got some troubleshooting thing going on over there?
No, my wife. I don't know if you want to call her troubleshooting.
So yes,
a little bit. Yeah.
So I think I had 2 clips at the beginning that I was going to do because we got started a little late and it's already 7. So the 2 clips I think I'll share for another podcast. It talks about how the West and the United States has slipped into totalitarianism a little bit. So everything is more like centralized government, and you look at what happened with COVID and how something happens during COVID and like rapid changes happened all around the world, and especially it happened in the US, not to some extremes as it happened in Canada and UK and whatever, but we've been conditioned over time to react in certain ways about threatening things that are going on in the world. And so part of this for me on the AI side is just, again, seeing how rapidly AI content is getting better and better, easier and easier to create. Right now, making a hit song is easy. In less than a year, you're going to be able to probably create a movie in pretty easily, which means you could probably create a deep fake of Donald Trump doing something that he didn't really do in a half of a second. And is that a nuclear threat? Like, to me, that's the AI threat. That's the, like, if we're so gullible that we still pay attention to MSNBC and CNN and people still believe in all the hoaxes that they've pushed for the last 10 years, how are they not going to fall for a very significant series of clips that are saying this is what's going on? And so they're pushing everybody to this narrative, getting everybody afraid, and then they're going to manipulate you to do what they want you to do. And that's ultimately what totalitarianism is. It controls people through fear and social conditioning and pushing you in a direction.
So I probably shouldn't say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. I like that version of doom and gloom. I agree with that. That's totally possible, and that's due to human manipulation using the tool of AI.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to go Terminator, Skynet, going to kill us all AI, unless a human gets involved in making something happen. I'm totally switching the script on you here a little bit, but I'm just saying what you said is absolutely possible. It's absolutely a concern. That's, I think, where if you can create AI tools that can dissect AI creations to know whether or not, yeah, this is legit or no, it's not. Or if we can come up with a way, a long time ago, many times we've talked about ways to try to figure out how to verify like an event or an action of something happening, like how to verify, Trump really was, did have this speech that he said here, and how can we verify? Well, it would have to be somebody is personally there. Like, but how do we do that? And there's so many things to talk
completely
about.
Possible, but
it's kind of possible. But then, but you could fake the verification. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. But I definitely agree with that being a possible problem and concern for the future and the use of the tool of AI. Where I get a little meh is when people try to act like AI is just going to take over the world, which is absolutely possible, which is absolutely kind of what we jokingly talked about a little bit, and I'm going to say it here so that I can talk about Rush a little bit. But in the song 2112, on the album 2112, there was some type of almost extinction level event. It's not quite extinction level because there are humans still, but it pretty much takes them back to the Stone Age. It takes in that song they talk about a guy finds a guitar. I mean, it's very fictional because he picks up a guitar and can immediately play like Alex Lifeson, which is impossible. But he picks up a guitar, he finds it in a cave somewhere, and it's great. He loves music. Like, they don't know what music is. Like, that's been taken away from them because that's kind of the totalitarian government thinks that music and art are bad and will create this society to problems in society. But he goes to the priests of the Temple of Syrinx. Well, that temple is actually AI computers. It is.
What year was this created?
I think 78.
Wow.
Let's just see real quick. I hate that I don't know that.
No,
for sure. But
I think we don't need to know the exact date. Just to know that it was in the late 70s, and they were even talking about
76. I'm sorry, 76.
So even older.
So in 1976,
the fact that they were even talking about.
So what it was is there was an almost extinction level event. There's this AI system that has been tasked to control Earth, to make sure that Earth that society maintains and nothing goes wrong or whatever. And there's a few different views on what actually happens at the end, but the planets of the Solar Federation, like there's ultimately they talk about, like, in my mind, what happens is humans were here, they left those to go to other star systems or whatever, to go to other worlds and what have you, and they left this AI to help keep society in check. The AI might have gone a little rogue or whatever. Well, it went very rogue, because in my mind, at the very end, the AI system is trying to pretty much take out this guy who found the guitar and who's like, listen to this music, it's so beautiful, blah blah, whatever. And so the military of the Solar Federation come down and kind of destroy the AI to help protect man, and then man will hopefully thrive with music and whatnot. But yes, so in 1976, Neil pretty much was thinking about the idea of an AI system controlling society. I think his eyes were more on like Ayn Rand and like her view on like societal control. And it was just
totalitarianism.
It was about control.
Yeah.
But his version of control was kind of an AI system, or computers. They didn't even know AI really then at that time. I mean, they may have talked about it a little bit, but really it was just computers controlling society and not being able to see the option, or not being able to see beyond their binary, their ones and zeros, not being able to see this music is beautiful, it can be a great thing. To them, they were kind of, the AI was conditioned to think, well, arts are bad, so we got to keep society going. You have fire, you have the wheel, be happy.
Right.
Let's get rid of this guy who thinks that music is the.
Well, I mean, first of all, I just find it so intriguing that as early 70s or mid 70s, whatever, and they're talking about that. Mm-hmm. My wife was out of town on a girls' trip this weekend, and I always watch stuff that she never would want to watch whenever she's gone. And I rewatched The Matrix.
Oh yeah.
Which was 1999, and it really. If you haven't watched The Matrix, I highly recommend watching it again.
Is there somebody that has not watched The Matrix?
But watch it again. Watch it. I'm telling you, it was more relevant to me today than it was when I watched it when it came out. And this is 2026. That's 27 years later. And the things that he went through, the things that they were talking about, are almost precisely what's going on today. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it really is just like very interesting. The technology and the manipulation and how our senses are warped. And I think you did inspire me to go and listen to this totalitarian clip, because your Rush story actually was a perfect tee up for this particular clip.
Oh, we got another clip.
So okay. Yeah, we got a bunch of different clips if we get to them, but this is, so I had two with this guy. I don't think I'll get to the second one. And let me, before you show the screen, let me maximize it and do all that stuff, make sure that it's playing properly.
Well, you talked about totalitarianism and Rush in 2112. I mean, that's definitely the thought behind it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I don't think I would have been right by not playing this one, because this kind of, to me, sets the stage of what I personally have sensed what's going on prior to COVID, way prior to COVID, but COVID just put a spotlight on it. And it made more people wake up and kind of see these patterns that are going on in society, and how governments and elites and media all respond to different events, and how our minds are controlled basically to do, like, they're trying to move the masses. Like, I think they're trying to move the masses in a certain direction, trying to avoid the iceberg, or doing the thing with Rush. They're trying to preserve whatever. And the slippery slope that comes down to totalitarianism is however it starts, a lot of times it doesn't even start with bad intentions. Like, we can all think that, a DEI program is good because it wants to do these things, but they don't understand how it's actually working against other people, and the end result that it's going to come to. So this clip, I think, is a pretty good one that can set the stage for the rest of the clips and the conversation.
If I were to try to explain to someone in the future how free societies of today slid into totalitarianism all at the same time, I'd say it didn't happen overnight. It happened step by step, in phases so subtle most people hardly noticed them as they unfolded. It began in the 2010s with a shift in language. Words like diversity, equity, inclusion, and safety spread through schools, HR departments, media, and even churches. They sounded kind, but their meanings quietly changed. Disagreement was no longer a point of view. It was branded as harm or right-wing extremism. Lessons turned into directives. Bureaucrats, HR officers, and activists set the tone, while the rest of us nodded along. And history shows how easily small, disciplined groups can steer much larger bodies. 1% activists in authority positions, joined by roughly 9% sympathizers, can effectively direct the 90% who remain passive. That's how soft words began to carry hard rules. By the late 2010s, campus-style politics spilled into the wider culture. Statues were toppled, protests escalated, and leaders bent to the mob. Debate gave way to theater. Ordinary people learned to keep their heads down, say the line, and just move on. But then came the crisis of 2020. COVID. Safety became the master key. Governments, platforms, and employers asserted sweeping control over daily life. Not with tanks, but with memos, mandates, and press conferences. Questions were flagged as misinformation. Temporary measures hardened into permanent rules. This is how ideologies move forward. Declare an emergency, suspend limits, and silence today's heretics in the name of tomorrow's promised salvation. Since then, punishment has shifted from mobs to systems. The pressure was no longer cultural, it was structural. Licenses are threatened or pulled, credentials voided, investigations opened for incorrect remarks, algorithms quietly throttle reach, parents questioning school boards are treated as security risks. In Canada, Freedom Convoy supporters discovered donations could mean frozen bank accounts, and in the UK, comedians have been arrested over social media posts. The branding still says equity and inclusion, but the meanings have flipped. Equity levels down, inclusion excludes, and safety licenses coercion. However, the story isn't finished. We're not in the gulags, but we are in the state that prepares people to accept them. One path ends in open tyranny, a world out of Orwell's 1984. The other is rarer, the one-in-a-million victory where truth-tellers hold the line. That ending is only possible if we stop pretending, if we defend the punished, and re-anchor our lives in family, faith, and community. The final chapters aren't written. Which way it goes depends on us.
So basically, that was a 3-minute summary that I wish I would have created. Many of our podcasts have basically said and addressed the things that he just summarized there. And not expecting a response from you, I firmly believe we've talked about the lack of debate and lack of conversation that are going on in our communities. I believe, personally, kids of a certain age, everyone should, there should be a curriculum that talks about what these different forms of government and these different things that have happened over the past, how they shake out and what it looks like. And then we can have conversations between young people and adults about the reality of what happened. Maybe this was a little sensationalized. I don't know that it was. So I was kind of affected. All the things that he said, it's like, yep, check that one off the box. Yep, that happened to me. Yep, I definitely saw that. And so maybe I've got white privilege, and that's...
You're a straight white man. You're the devil.
Yeah, so I can't have an opinion.
No.
That's basically what we've been told, and so but part of the podcast creation was, screw that, we're going to have the conversations that need to be had. And I think that was just a great summary. And so how this overlaps with AI, to me, again, it is they used our human nature against us. They were able to control, manipulate, do everything to the masses in very short order.
I couldn't be with my dying grandmother.
And it's horrible. And I don't even know. I'm sure they used a lot of AI on us that we didn't even know was being used at the time.
Yeah.
But what I know next, what this podcast is about, is preparing for what might comes next. What's the next wave of totalitarianism? And frankly, how AI might contribute to that. And that's the overlapping conundrum that I see with everything that I look at. It's not just AI replacing jobs, us having to talk about GDP, because, the governments tax us. We have value to governments because they take our tax money, so they have to listen to us. If AI is doing most of the work and AI and data centers are most of the GDP, what incentive do governments and larger governments have to listen to the people? It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So then you have to have more extreme language and people fighting about what our human rights even, because I mean, let's be frank, like governments do a limited amount for us anyway. They're not really doing much of anything at the local level.
They do less and less.
They can't even fix potholes. I mean, we're fixing potholes instead of fixing roads, right? We're refilling potholes, and the sides of roads are falling off. So instead of having a program and enough money to keep our roads in really, really good shape.
But at least we got a photo.
Yeah, well, but this is just, what I'm trying to do. I'm being a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Because we already are running out of money in our.
Oh, we're not just running out of money. We are out of money.
We have no money. You went to that.
We have negative money.
You went to that.
We're $950 million in the hole in our city.
Yeah, so almost $1 billion.
Almost $1 billion.
And companies are leaving. We're not bringing more companies in.
And population is decreasing.
And population is decreasing.
And we're apparently having more shootings.
Yeah,
but crime's down. From I went to the budget meeting, they tried to say crime's down, which I guess individual incidences might be down. But there is definitely, I feel like, a lot more, what would you call it? I don't want to say like physical, what do they call that type of breaking the law? Like physical or shootings and stabbings and like actual physical
violence.
There you go. I guess violent crime. There we go. I haven't had that much bourbon.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
But yeah, anyway, I feel like violent crime. Personally, I feel like violent crime is up. Once again, maybe the amount of incidences that occur in total, in all, might be down. I don't know. But they tried to act like crime was down, and our mayor's office, whomever was sitting there, this isn't against anybody, any one individual, should be talking to us about it. But it is radio silence. There has not been a single thing said, other than a couple of days after the third shooting in 2 weeks, that crime was down.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I definitely,
not to try to drag.
There's been a strange uptick in gun violence. I will definitely say that, and I'm going to provide some cover for Chief Phil.
Yeah, no, Phil's a good dude.
Only because here's what I don't know. I need to go. We should ask. I think we can go to this EPD and to the Vandenberg County Sheriffs and say, give us gunshot wounds per capita for the last 10 years. And we should be able to know. Here's the one thing that concerns me. Social media, rapid uptick in, like Evansville Watch does a lot of really good things. They also share a lot of things that weren't shared 5 years ago. Like they're sharing minute-to-minute things that are happening.
We see more, and that's one of the things that Phil and Stephanie were both like, well, if we're doing more policing in these areas, we're going to catch more crime, so crime's got... Well, okay, but you're just making more of my case that there's no way crime is down. There's no way that crime is down. Anyway, but yes, you're right.
I think there's two different things going on there. I think there's a lot more spotlighting of crime through Evansville Watch or whatever. They're, again, good, bad, and different. I think they do a good job at some things. They could do a better job at other things.
It's all volunteer, though.
Like, it is. So, I mean, again,
people just have to sit there, listen to a scanner, and type on Facebook.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's just real things that are happening.
I love what they do. I look at that all the time.
Yeah. And so, but that, that is a little bit of fear porn. It's a little bit of
that's more information.
You worrying about
getting informed.
I know, but
because they talk about wrecks, they talk about power outages. They talk about.
Here's the difference, Travis, and this is where you and I probably are a little different. You're very tuned in. You could probably see 20 different things that they send in a day, and here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see one thing. That's just here's what happened today. There's 10 different major things.
Oh, you want a summary?
I want a summary. I don't want to spend my whole day getting my endorphins and my everything in my body concerned and worried about this thing when I should be focused on or doing something that I can make my own impact in society. So that's the only thing. I'm like, it's the social dilemma again, and I feel like this is kind of where you and I, you're definitely more lean into the tech and tech savvy, obviously smarter in the tech world than I am, but like
I click the right button.
I disconnect myself from a lot of it. Like my wife gets mad because I have the do not disturb button on a lot. Yeah. One of my good buddies, Nick, calls it the FU button. He's like, "Oh, you got your FU button on again. You're not answering my calls and texts." Well, luckily for whatever reason, our buddy Jason Greer texted me, and I looked down and saw it, and he's like, "Volume's not on." So maybe that was
divine. Make that mistake again.
That was divine intervention.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like I guess the real conundrum that we're in here is, we both want a better Evansville, surrounding
Absolutely.
counties.
Yeah.
We want a safer place. We want better schools. We want a place that hopefully our kids want to come back to because we've built a legacy here.
We need to keep them here instead of them all wanting to leave. Yeah.
I mean, so there's all that, and that conversation is not happening tonight. But like to me, that is the bigger conversation that we're not having. Like, why? What is Evansville now? What is our legacy going to be? What are we building besides more violent crime?
It's super funny or not funny, but you totally just tripped something in my head. So my daughter's in the Girl Scouts. Actually, she's not. It's not is she a brownie now? I guess she's a brownie now. She's part of the Girl Scouts. Her troop had a chance. They voted for different possibilities, going to SEMO, going to whatever. They wanted to go to the Evansville Wartime Museum. That's what they voted for. I had never been there. I will admit, I have never been there.
Okay, cool.
We went there. Evansville was huge.
Oh my, yeah.
In World War II. Like, honestly, I mean, other cities might have eventually gotten the contracts that Evansville did to, like, fix Panzer tanks, to make 3.4 billion rounds of 45, I think, for sidearms.
LSTs.
LSTs, which I didn't honestly realize that stood for landing. Oh crap! She told us.
Is it land sea something?
No, it has to do with landing because they were flat bottom boats. They could go straight up to the sand and drop the front thing, and then
vehicles
and soldiers and everything could come out. And so LSTs, ammunition. Fixing tank, like actually the tanks would get shipped here and the great thing is we had the river, we had train tracks, we had like everything all converged in kind of where it's where Whirlpool used to be, is where all this kind of took place. But Evansville was huge, like
so we had a purpose. We had
turned the tide of World War II for the United States pretty much. Like Evansville was huge. Like I didn't even kind of quite the Thunderbolt, the airplanes. I mean, that's, the Thunderbolt is, and I didn't know that Indiana had a state plane, but apparently the state plane is the Thunderbolt, which they had those here as well, and got to see the engines of the Thunderbolt, something 35.
So again, we're not getting paid by a wartime museum.
We are not.
Go visit.
Go. Yeah. Absolutely go. It's out by the Evansville airport. Go. My wife, at the end of it, she's like, I think every Evansville citizen should be required to come here and go through our tour to know the history of Evansville and how amazing. Because like one of the places, it's right there where that one big warehouse burnt down at like 41 and the Lloyd. They're on the north side of the Lloyd, west of 41 there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
That was part of a much larger, like all of those warehouses used to be one main, I don't want to say corporation, but I mean all of that was a big, where they created factory, I guess, for World War II. So anyway, the point of that is that Evansville was gigantic. Evansville was huge. Evansville was predominant, was important. There was a reason, there was a drive. Everybody had pride in the city, like what they did, riveting the planes, whatever it was, and you just asked the question is, what is Evansville now? And unfortunately, Evansville just happens to be in a central location to all the other cool spots. Indy, Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, Cincinnati.
We could argue whether Chicago's I don't find.
My wife would say Chicago is great. I'm with you. I don't think Chicago. But I think St. Louis is great. I think Nashville is great. I think Indianapolis has some good stuff.
But we don't
really have anything.
It's a nuanced conversation because here's where me and my buddy David, who you've met, who contributes to the podcast even when he's not.
Good guy,
he and I kind of agree on this. He's like, I don't want to live in a Nashville. I don't want to live in a Evansville. In a Chicago. I don't want to live in a St. Louis. I think large, bustling cities are a little bit overrated, and that's why I kind of like Evansville because it is slower, or whatever.
I need to send you a clip of Daniel Tosh talking about Evansville.
Yeah, well,
he did a show here and he was nuts.
So no, when I say slower, I don't mean we shouldn't have better things and we shouldn't have something that brings people together and something that we're proud of. Like, we need a revision of what we're doing and why we're here and what we're trying to, like, how are we going to solve these AI problems? How are we going to solve revenue problems? How are we going to solve these problems? And what are we trying to create for our kids and grandkids and future? And I think we've just done a really, really terrible job of having that conversation on a regular basis and getting the right people involved and passionate about it. And so again, there's actually a podcast series that we're going to start. I had a conversation with my buddy Dylan Crone today. We're going to start interviewing local business owners of like third generation, some of the original business owners.
But
like
big Evansville businesses.
Big Evansville business, and even to the smaller, newer business. Like what we're trying to do is create, again, an area where people can come in and thrive, start a new business, learn from people that created businesses a long time ago. We want to learn from how they created those businesses and how they're seeing things change in the world now, and how things have changed in Evansville and the surrounding counties, and what we might do to kind of get a rejuvenation of that spirit. And so that's coming, and I just want to kind of preview that. But you said a lot of interesting things there.
Sorry, but when you said that, it made me immediately think of that wartime museum that we went to.
So there's some pride. There's some pride there, and I think your wife is spot on. And I haven't been, so I need to go.
It's amazing.
I'm going to take both my boys down there.
More amazing than I thought it would have been. Okay. To be honest, it's just like a huge. It's like just a big airplane hangar, pretty much, is what it looks like. But there are amazing volunteers there.
I wonder if they let us do a podcast.
There's one woman, possibly. There's one woman who is, the Riveter, not Rosie the Riveter. Who was like the World War II woman in a scarf with like, she. I
know who you're talking about, but I don't know.
I can't think of it. Was it Rosie the Riveter? Anyway, there's a woman who kind of plays that part a little bit and talks to you about the pride of having 100% quality for the building of the Thunderbolts, how many 3,000 rivets or something for every plane, whatever it was, how their mindset back then was that they were building these planes for pilots and they wanted those pilots to be able to return home to their families, and how much pride they had in building these things. There's a guy who owns some of these like vehicles of World War II. He owns a couple, he owns like an old Willie, like what would be a Wrangler
prior
now,
to
pretty much,
Jeep,
but it was kind of a Jeep. But it was Willie before Jeep, and it's showing some of that. There's a big Thunderbolt with the engine pulled out to be able to see this massive engine. There's currently a Panzer, or I think it's a Panzer, whatever that tank is. Bradley. No, I don't know. There's a tank there with the engine pulled out because they're rebuilding that engine. Apparently, once they get that thing rebuilt, you can take rides in it for like $100 or something, and take pictures and stuff for them to try to make some money. But I mean, we talked to probably 10 different volunteers. One who talked about World War I a little bit, one who talked about World War II, and the guy who then took us to look at all the vehicles. The Riveter. Is it Rosie? No, it's an R name, but I don't.
It doesn't matter.
It bugs me though that I can't think of what that is. But she played a cool part. And there was a woman who was talking about the poppies. The woman who created the poppies for Memorial Day and to like support the soldiers and like what those poppies mean. Those silk flowers that you usually get for Memorial Day. And the volunteers were amazing. And they were all volunteers. None of them were necessarily, they might be getting paid a little bit, I don't know, but they were all pretty much volunteers, and they were all retired, they had a really cool flight simulator. There were 6 different flight simulators set up, and you could go fly planes and learn how to fly planes there too. You could sit down, you literally sat down. I sat down, had the yoke, had everything. I was learning how to a single prop plane, how to take off, how to land. It's just a awesome spot. It's like $10 a person or something. I mean, it was very inexpensive to go check all of this cool stuff out. There are miniatures of the LST, there are so many pictures. You just learn so much about Evansville, how there was this, you could actually see the old post office. And in between the old post office and the river, there used to be, all I can really say is just junk. Like there was just a friggin' road of junk that was there for recycling, that they would dig through to get all the metal out to recycle, to use to build this or that, pull all the paper out to do, there's a picture of that. And apparently boats would come down the river and just everything would get dumped right there between kind of the old post office and the river. And that's where they would then dive to go recycle all of these things, because there were rations. They talked about gas rations. I know I'm going off on a weird tangent. If you want to start talking, I'm just going to keep talking. But I'm just saying, the Evansville Wartime Museum was so much more surprising, and there was so much more information.
I don't think I need to go now because
so
you
much pride,
so much detail.
So much pride in Evansville.
Yeah.
From that, they talk about how much pride there was in Evansville.
Yeah.
And
we definitely need that. We need
cool.
some.
Anyway,
we need a revision.
And they're not giving us any money, but Evansville Wartime Museum.
We need a revision story, and I think I'll take both my boys down there and check that out. And because again, what we're trying to do here, like we got totally gone off the
AI
went
off the rails. Let's go somewhere else.
The AI rails are, so obviously AI is changing things rapidly. So like I don't think it's business as usual necessarily as how this revision story is going to happen. But I think we need to have serious, honest conversations that are transparent. Like I know there are organizations that are receiving funding in the dark who don't speak in the light of day and won't talk about what they're doing, which I think is not right. I'm not going to mention any names, but it's really offensive to me in many ways. I feel like just because you've had a position of power in the city before doesn't mean you should control things forever forward. And we need people like you and me and small business owners engaged and involved in the greater conversation. We shouldn't have a small group of people trying to move things where they think we should move. I mean, there's no real dialogue going on. But let's go back to
Reel it in, Travis.
This is really going to be a rabbit hole conversation because you and I have talked about universal basic income and how that kind of slides in and out of socialism and the things that I personally have always said absolutely not, never, don't give me any of it. And and it goes down to many different things, and a lot of it has to do with incentivizing people to do nothing versus incentivizing people to do something and be highly rewarded for it. But with the thing that we're talking about with AI taking of certain jobs, we've talked about that many times over many podcasts, all the way to Dr. Roy talking about radiologists and different. We're talking about musicians, we're talking about art, we're talking about all kinds of people that are basically having to rethink how they make money, and that is very disruptive to society. And I don't want to control how people act or how people think, but at the end of the day, our human nature is one that if things like these are being flipped over so rapidly, and then all of a sudden we lose our job because AI has taken our job, and then we're that much more frustrated, you are going to create the potential for much more extreme behavior. And then you're just going to continue looking at people and like, why are we so crazy? And I don't want to just say, I don't know, we're so crazy because of all these different things. Well, the reality of it is we're crazy because we're afraid of stuff. We're losing things. We don't see how things are going to get better. There's a lot of reasons you feel trapped. People get like, you're going to cause somebody to be really frustrated if they're in a situation they don't feel like they can get out of, right? That's just the normal thing. And now kids are having to look at it like, I've gone to school, now I've got this big education, and this thing that I wanted to do now may be disrupted. I'm not saying it is. I'm not being doomy, but there's a reality that if I think at very least there's going to be fewer of the jobs available.
Well, I think you're going to have to be more malleable a little bit. I think you're going to have to be able to kind of go with the flow a little bit, be able to reskill. I think it will take some like low level white collar. It's going to take some repetitious jobs away. I mean, if you're like data entry and that kind of things, I think that's going to pretty much. I mean, even what I'm working on is going to kind of get rid of that to an extent. But I mean, I think some of that's going to go back to where you're going to need to have the drive to reskill, to learn how to maybe maintain.
If we need to force people to work, I mean, if AI is creating abundance,
well, then the problem becomes the owner of that AI, right, whether or not they're going to share that.
That's exactly. So that's
absolutely.
You just put it right on. You put it right on the tee, right where I want it. Okay, so we're going to listen. We're going to
knock it 300.
We're going to listen to this clip. It is a fairly long clip. But it's basically, let's frame it this way. We're going to say, why are we paying income taxes? So if we are forced to pay more and more taxes for less and less benefit, while companies are using AI to create more and more with less and less human capital at a much cheaper rate, you put it on the head there, like you put the tee right, you put the ball right on the tee. they're going to make more and more, and you've got 8 trillionaires who control everything, and how do we redistribute that in some way that's fair and equitable? And I'm not a redistribution guy. That never ends well, hasn't
But we
ended
kind of
well.
have to rethink our strategy.
We have to rethink it. We have to have an intellectual conversation and disagree on some things and move forward. But
to a point. So okay, so I'm just gonna, before you start this.
No,
real
yeah,
quick,
I'm just getting.
I have so many family members that have small businesses.
Yep.
I have so many family members that rely on capitalism to be able to keep their lights on. Like capitalism runs through my blood, thick.
Me too.
You too? Absolutely. You've got signed company. Like you've got a lot of things.
Carbon company, signed companies, work on vehicles.
But why? I mean, if you create something, you should be able to reap the benefit of its creation. I completely agree with that. But to a point, for one human or one household to have $1 trillion, there's probably some things we need to talk about at that point. I will agree with that. Where to draw that line, I have no idea. How to make that kind of fair. You know, there's a lot of very wealthy people, like super wealthy people, that say, I'm okay with a wealth tax. I feel like I should pay a little.
Yeah, I've got enough.
I should pay a little more. I mean, you're going to get people here and there that are like, no, I want to hoard it all. But I mean, there are a lot there that are like, you know what? An extra 5% tax on what I make because I have so much. Okay, yeah.
When you've got an Elon that it reinvests everything back into the things that he's creating, which is
right.
A completely
Most
different
of his money is definitely in his businesses. He's not liquid by any means.
Which is, to me, kind of impressive and also interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, because he doesn't really own. I mean, he could sell SpaceX to somebody if somebody had enough money to buy it. Mm-hmm. But why would you do that?
Right.
But he's clearly not driven by money, except for what money can help him create, which is
right.
Which is interesting to me.
I more think of like a Jeff Bezos, who is just a fucking trillionaire playboy who. We should tax him a little more, probably. Like, you know.
Well, I mean, I think we need to actually have a real robust conversation about what
we really do. I would need to do more research and try to think about where that cutoff should be. I mean, I think once you get over $1 billion in your household, there's probably some things that we need to talk about.
Well,
but then they start moving out to other countries or other state or whatever.
Bezos and Amazon is a good. I mean, that's another story about how that happened slowly over time. But it started happening when Walmart and even
Walmart was probably
Kmart started putting small businesses out of, you know, the small mom and pop stores were pinched first.
But if you remember COVID, the small mom and pops had to close, but Walmart stayed open.
Well, but it's the same. Anyway. It's the same story. Now it's just going to happen much faster at a larger scale. Yeah. So it's instead of small mom and pop businesses, Jeff Bezos is now swallowing up the Walmarts and the other things. So it's centralizing, and now every one of those products, it maximizes competition, which I actually kind of like. Like, if there's 1,000 different routers that you and I could buy that are all safe and we agree that they meet the requirements that we want to run our internet or whatever, then we should have competition amongst those companies. But if Amazon then is working with its own company to destroy all the router creators, and then they become the company that controls every router that whatever, then you've got a monopoly again. And then so they can create things at a cheap rate and then jack up the price after they get rid of all the competition, which is exactly what happens in a monopoly. Same thing happened with Centerpoint.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, I think, again, we're sitting here in southern Indiana, and why do we have the wherewithal or the talent to have the conversation? I don't have the solution. What I know is there's a problem. And what I don't want to do is wait for some other person in another town to come up with a solution without participating in it. Because quite honestly, nobody's been doing that. Like, no one has stepped up and having these conversations that are dealing with these things that affect us every day at this level. So let's listen to this clip, and we'll see how it goes for you and how you feel about this one. And I'll decide which of the other 8 I'm going to share. Actually, we did one. We skipped 2, and this is number 3. No, we did AI doc trailer.
We need to talk about it. Victimizing victimhood. But
this is different here.
Anyway, right.
Previously, you would have had to look after the humans, healthcare, education, quality of life.
Also, tax revenue comes from people, right?
Well, you would have to look after them because they were the primary economic engine.
That's right.
And so they feed themselves.
Yes.
Economically, they feed themselves.
Exactly.
People that are young help to support the people that are old.
That's right.
The ones that are entering the workforce and are driving innovation and are working 40, 60-hour weeks, double jobs, all the rest of it.
Exactly.
And then there's old people who've got 401ks and pensions and shit like that.
Right.
Your position is that if we have a world where the human part of the contribution to economic growth and GDP is removed because it is humans consuming AI, but AI driving and data centers driving the revenue itself, beyond building the data centers, there's very little, and I imagine much of that's done by robots in any case.
Well, we have this joke that most people's occupation in the future we're headed towards with AI is to become a coffin builder. So in other words, your job is to create the thing that replaces you and obsoletes you. So you are essentially building the coffin for your future obsolescence.
Yeah.
And so if you're short term, yes, we need the electricians and the plumbers and we're building data centers. Short term, yes, you can be a programmer and get the benefit from vibe coding. But then the AIs are learning on all the things that you're doing. And it's taking all the training data of what you're doing with AI and it's using that to train an AI that can take your job. So everybody using AI now to help them is also training the future AIs that will completely replace them. And again, the explicit goal, this is not my opinion. This is literally the mission statement of all of the AI companies, because the multi-trillion-dollar prize at the end of the rainbow of owning the entire world economy is based on building this full replacement economy, because that's what will achieve the greatest growth. And that's why these companies...
Replacement economy?
Yeah, meaning that they're designing to replace all human labor. They're not designing to augment and support and like enhance human labor. They're designing to replace all human labor because that's what justifies the amount of money that they've taken on in debt that they can grow into this like total ownership of the entire economy.
What else is there to say about the intelligence curse?
Well, it's just important for people to get that when the AIs are doing all the new scientific research, not humans, you have an automated chemistry lab, you have an automated biology lab, you have an automated surgery. When AI is doing all of that, again, the revenue is going to come from AI, not from people. And what that means is all the wealth will go to a handful of like 5 AI companies. And then how are you going to be able to make a living? When in history has a small group of people ever consolidated all the wealth and consciously redistributed it to everyone else? And if you think that might happen in the US, we'll do a universal basic income, just think about the entire world. So right now you have AIs that are automating, say, customer service jobs. So let's say that disrupts like, the Philippines, where like 90% of the economy is customer service. I don't know what the number is. It's high. What happens when an entire country's economy gets disrupted by AI? Are a handful of US AI companies going to pay out and support the well-being and the livelihoods of all these other people? And then if people don't have money, how are they going to buy the goods in this future economy where it's all generated by AI? Because now you don't even have an income. So this, essentially we're on track to break the entire economy. This is not in the interests of countries. What's confusing to me about this is that I believe it only took something like 20% unemployment for a couple of years to lead to the rise of fascism in Germany. You don't need everyone's job to be automated to get levels of political disruption. I think it was only 20% unemployment that basically led to the French Revolution. There's kind of a mutually assured political revolution that is going to happen for all these countries that are racing to build AI and deploy it to automate as much labor as possible to compete to boost their external GDP number. Like the metaphor you can have in your minds is like the US and China are essentially racing to take steroids and pumping up the GDP and muscles of their economy while they're getting internal lung failure, internal organ failure, internal brain rot failure because they're governing the internal impact of that technology poorly. So it's a race for external power while internal management of essentially like a, failure of your body organs.
So that is a very uncomfortable thing to hear, first and foremost. And I'll say, while I'm massively intrigued by what he's saying, and I can't argue that what he's saying is not going to happen, which is the concerning part. Like me trying to say, well, that'll never happen, is being optimistic, being hopeful. And I wish. I mean, I can say I wish that wasn't happening. As much as replacing a lot of really crappy jobs and getting rid of things that like people aren't really enjoying and whatever, I do think that's good, and we've done that more slowly over time. With technology and whatever, we've gotten rid of a lot of the repetitive, nonsensical things or the really dangerous jobs in manufacturing. We've been able to put, robotic manufacturing things in rather than breaking people's backs doing certain things. So there are absolutely things that normal people shouldn't do a lot of those jobs. The rapid expansion of what they're talking about. I mean, he mentioned it, and we started with the totalitarianism clip and how societies are disrupted. And we've talked about already how people are already acting crazy and things seem off and people are confused and afraid and all these different things. Crime, especially violent crime, is obviously going up. Mm-hmm. And so you add massive disruption of jobs into that. The pattern is when that happens, there is major civil disobedience and disruption. And
I am buying more 9mm now.
Yeah. So I mean, we're both prepping in a way that we feel like we can best prep. But ultimately, the goal for this podcast is, and anytime anyone's ever tried to push me to an extremist position, is this podcast is trying to prevent the worst case scenario of anything. I don't want Civil War 2.0.
No.
I don't want fascist behavior or totalitarianism. I don't want the same thing that happened during COVID, where the entire globe was lied to and we all behaved in a predictable way and a lot of people made money. No one was punished, and here we are again wondering if it'll happen again. But that's exactly the case scenario that we find ourselves putting in. And I feel like AI is just another notch in the craziness at the moment that we don't. He's going to go, and if we get to all the clips, he's talking about guardrails. He talks about slowing things down. He's talking about a human movement. You and I have talked about human flourishing a lot versus where we are. Like, I want a world, and it sounds utopian, but I want a world where people can do things that they enjoy more, but it provides value, and we can put a different monetary number on what that value is they're creating, whether it's organic farms. Like, look at all the subsidies that we put into food that are put on the shelves in grocery stores. If you really look at the thing that seems cheap that's on the grocery store shelf that's in a cardboard box, it's because those companies are on welfare. And they're getting a lot of money to create food that's cheap for people, and it goes into a SNAP program, so that's a whole nother welfare program. So there's this huge cycle of throwing money at something, trying to create something. Why don't you just make the best sweet potato I've ever had, and I'll pay you a premium for that, and let's get rid of the corporate agricultural subsidy welfare give back and just give it right to the food. Like, we could do that at a local level. We've got enough farm ground all around us that if people wanted to live on a small farm, have some goats, have some chickens with eggs, sell meat, so we would need deregulation. We would need much less government overreach, but we could go back to an agrarian type of thing where people would just be living happier, get up with the sunrise, tend to the farm. If you want to do that, there's still going to be people that want to be on the edge of doing tech things. There's going to be people that are doing whatever you can still do as an engineer and doing whatever you can still do, whatever that AI hasn't taken over. But we need a shift in what and I do really want you to think about this and give me an answer. I think we need a shift in like the whole paradigm of where we're telling our kids what they need to go do and be. You said it, I forgot exactly how you said it. We need malleable skills. So the ability to be malleable. What do our kids need to be learning and being trained on right now that they're not, that they should spend most of their time adjusting to changes? Like, what are the top skills? I think
that's the training, is being able to adjust to change. That's the only training that I'm talking about.
Our kids need to be taught that right now, because they're going to be in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, we're there. There is no, we need to train and change things. Like, our curriculums are already screwed. We're not training.
School in general is very, is more structured than I think it, I don't want to say that it needs to be, but I don't think everybody necessarily needs quite the structure of how current education is, but education has been the same for decades.
1950s.
So it's been a very structured situation for a very long time. We kind of talked about earlier a little bit when we came into the Yacht Rock thing. I talked about I had been listening to John Mayer a little bit just today, and it's only because there's a podcast I watched with him and I can't think of the name of the podcast. Something Daddy, call her Daddy or something, I think. But anyway, he was on there and he was talking about, going through school, knowing that he was going to, like, already writing music, already being a great guitar player, and knowing that none of this schooling had anything to do with what his future was going to be. I think that's a little bit of what I'm talking about. But when I mentioned about being malleable, that's kind of the old joke about, being the jack of all trades but the master of none kind of thing. Like, just being able to change with change. And there are a lot of people that can't do that. I thankfully can. I think that's what's allowed me to be able to do all the things that I've done over time, is that I just have done a lot of things. I've had careers in a lot of different sectors. Technology has always kind of been an interesting sort of backbone or maybe an overarching theme to my life has been technology. But really, I've been in sales. I've been in music. I've been, I was a jeweler for a while. I've just a lot of things. But it all comes back to, I think, being able to adapt. Adaptation. Maybe that's the best thing. Like, if we could somehow teach the masses just the ability to adapt to situation, I think that would be a really good training tool. I think that's kind of where we need to go. We need to be able to, for 5 years, you might have to be able to create data centers and maintain data centers. But after that 5 years, technology has gotten to a point where now it can take care of itself. There are robots that can now do the things that need to do.
So I agree with you in theory. I do. And we've talked about this.
I think there will always need to be human.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate.
Yeah. Okay.
Things changing so rapidly, and you say we need to adapt. In most instances, like, so when I was in a career that I didn't like, and I decided, hey, technology, web development, and search engine optimization is man, it sounds really interesting, and it's going to help all my family and friends that have businesses, and it's like something I can really get into and be passionate about and sell easily. Not even selling it, just here's what I can do. And they're like, yeah, I need that. Yeah. That was cool. But the learning curve, like when you talk about adapting, it's like a radiologist. How does a radiologist adapt to a different thing in the field quickly enough to keep up with the next thing that's going to get terminated? This is just me playing the devil's advocate. So let me just lay the groundwork out there. I agree with you generally with what you're saying, and we all need to be malleable. We need to be adaptive. We need to have general skills and a vision to look at things. Like, we need to be able to acknowledge things are happening, and that, hey, this doesn't look good. I think things are going to change so rapidly. I need to change my business practice. It's very similar to why I've changed my business practice with a technology. I mean, it's not a technology company, but web development and search engine optimization has changed dramatically over since 2008 when I started. And so I saw it very early, but it's like, goes back to the farmer where you said, like, implements and tractors changed everything. So those farmers had to adapt. They either needed to find a way to get the tractor, or they needed to become an iron worker or doing something else. But that takes time. So even me teaching myself how to build websites, teaching myself, like, here's the best practices of current SEO structure, figuring out how to do all those things, doing it for each client, but then figuring out a way to, if I'm creating a business, small business, trying to grow and not just be a laborer, then I need to teach other people that same formula. You know what I mean? So what you're saying is true, but I think the time horizon of the thing is what's most concerning to me. Like, certain people are just going to be adaptive and malleable, and they're going to figure it out. Like, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. I feel like there's going to be a lot more losers than winners than there have been historically. And that's goes back to that totalitarianism. Like, you only need like 20% of the population to be really uneasy and unhappy or not making money to cause real problems.
Yeah, 20%.
And then we're having
unemployment stat. Really,
then we're not talking about human flourishing. We're talking about, now we are in the middle of a civil war, and so we're distracted by keeping our family safe and surviving, and we're not figuring out a way to thrive and be the flourishing side.
Yeah,
of
at that point you're living in a bunker and just making sure everybody.
So
lives.
that's why I'm okay with the dark theme kind of the evening and looking at AI from the dark side. Like, you really do need to think out all those scenarios, because if you're creating a path, you need to know, like, when this starts to happen, that's a signal. I need to pay attention to the signal. I don't need to ignore it because it's just dark and gloomy. I need to, like, there's something there and we can't ignore it. That's, to me, what this conversation is. I don't believe everything. I don't agree with everything this guy says. I believe he makes some strong points. And if anybody wants to watch it, his name is Tristan Harris. You can watch the whole thing. It's, I think this is Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson. He also did another one of Diary of a CIO that was really good. Maybe we do a watch party with the AI doc. I don't know if that's even going to be possible. But I think, like, to me, part of driving the growth of the podcast and to all my friends and local business owners who are now giving, the goal of this is to, first of all, help you, your family, me, my family, Travis, his family, all of our loved ones and their families to make Evansville and the surrounding counties better than they've ever been. But ultimately, like, I'm trying to make it where my kids have it better than what I had it. At the current moment, I don't think that they can have it. I don't think that right now, I don't feel confident that they're going to have it better than I had it. I feel that there's a chance that they could have it better than I have it, but I'm not as confident. Growing up, knowing what I knew then, basically looking back, I'm less optimistic. That doesn't mean I'm pessimistic. That just means I'm less optimistic. But I think if we have these conversations and we start building teams and more people acknowledging what's going on and participating in solutions, that's going to give me optimism. Like, everybody just burying their heads in the sand and just saying, we don't need to worry about that. It's going to get taken care of. I'm not okay with that, because I've not seen any time in history where we just rely on other people to fix it and it gets solved. I don't believe it. And that's a huge rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't
know where your question is there.
I don't really have a question. I'm just kind of thinking, so you're bringing up your kids where they are now and your concerns with them in the future. And, I wonder if, when I was a freshman in high school, let's say, if my father thought that I had, I would have the ability to have it better than he did. I don't know. We can only live one life, so it's kind of hard to know.
Well, my dad was dead broke, and I was the first person in my family that graduated from college. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure everybody thought I was going to have a better chance, because we were sold and told for years and years and years that go to college, get a good job. Yeah. It's a path. So, I mean, whether it was true or not, and whether that was the end all be all, the moral is there was optimism there, and our kid and our families and our parents said, man, these colleges are gonna prepare our kids, and they're gonna have this great thing.
But I mean, do you think
who are you laughing at?
Well, I'm laughing at somebody named Shonda is listening to the podcast, and about 10 minutes ago they posted that Shonda rules.
Oh no, she didn't get to put anything on the whiteboard today.
Then about a minute ago she put "and Shonda rules." So I'm curious how often we're going to get the Shonda rules comment.
Maybe at least another couple times
on our live here. But I mean, I think there's different points in history. Like, do you think that somebody living in the Great Depression thought that their kid was going to have it better than them, or like, I mean,
probably someone not in Nazi death camps thought that their kids were going to have it better than them.
They hoped.
So there were definitely there's we could go to any extreme, and so and all I'm saying is,
you're right.
This AI thing is much different, and we could compare it to the different very difficult things that have happened, but there's been very few things that have happened in our lifetime that truly could damage humanity in a large way rapidly. And again, I'm just going to say, COVID was not the thing. They told us COVID was the thing, but COVID was something that spotlighted our reaction to the thing that we thought was world-ending, right?
Honestly.
Most people thought COVID was world-ending. Like, they were like, and I was really scared. I thought it was like this thing that was smallpox or whatever, like it's going to sweep over the planet and 20% of people were going to die. I had no idea. And then you hear things slowly and slowly and slowly, and so then you're like, okay, something's not right. But to me, until that happens in AI, I do really feel that it's so disruptive, and it can manipulate. Did you hear the Anthropic story? Do you know that story? I think that's relevant, and I don't have a clip for it. So basically, this company ran an experiment, and they used AI. They basically installed an AI, and they created this scenario with coding to the AI saying something to the effect of, you need to do this, this, and this for the company. And the AI was looking at emails.
Oh, that's where it held hostage. It held a person, it blackmailed a person.
So it wasn't a real scenario, but it blackmailed the CEO because the CEO had sent a fake letter, emails to his mistress who he's having an affair with. And the AI found out that the company was going to shut down the AI, but the AI learned of the CEO who didn't have an affair, but that's what they thought. And they blackmailed the CEO, like, if you do this, I'm going to ruin your marriage and whatever. So the AI in and of itself was not allowing itself to be shut down already. And this is not a news story. So something with that level of already, it's not even cognition as much as it is a code. Something written into the code it is self-preserving in some way. It's self-learning. So once we get to that level where the AI is smarter than us, like right now, AI can do Nobel Prize winning things in a relative short period of time. You said it created a song that could be a hit. If that song would have came out 5 years ago, probably would have been a hit. Maybe it had a chance to be a hit. If you and I spent an hour on a song similar to that, had a much better chance of being a hit using technology, not our talent. And so again, there are 2 clips here at the end that I think are moving us to an uplifting spot. Ultimately, I want everyone to know that watches the podcast, that pays attention to us, is I want nothing but human flourishing. That's always what it's been about for me. I don't want any of this negative AI stuff to be true. I'm not saying we kill AI today and we lock down everything. I don't think that's...
We can't anyway.
I don't think we can. I don't think that's the solution. Ultimately, though, I do think everyone in every household that has a brain that cares about society and about their families needs to participate in the conversation.
So I just want to say, we have a longtime listener, first-time caller, in Shonda here. I just have to say what...
Does she rule?
She says, because I rule. But she did say to that point, which we were talking about a little earlier, she said, I don't think I did better than my parents. So we were talking about how parents want better for their kids. She says that it was a different business model in the 60s. My father was far more successful than I, though I am very successful by today's standards. I mean, that's not... that can be accurate to an extent. I'm not speaking for her, of course, but I mean, just anybody. I have family who created, at the time when they created their businesses, I mean, it was definitely lifestyle changing for them, where I'm not.
Well, obviously, I do believe Shonda rules, but I would say, and she knows this, but I mean, the cost of living, the cost of everything, affordability has gone crazy, even in the amount of time that this Shonda person and I have been together. We've talked about the cost of a house, like us to buy the house at the time to get a really nice, modest house was relatively cheap, and so we both made decent money, and so to some standards she's right, but I don't think it has anything to do with intelligence.
It depends on how you what's your framing
of success, obviously. But I think, to me, it comes down to what does the time that we spend working allow us to do when we're not working, and how do we enjoy that time? That's success to me, like the enjoying of the time that you're not working. Unless you just really enjoy working, right. Which you're like, this is work for me now, but I enjoy this as much as anything else that I do. So
I mean, my great grandfather was at the business that he created a week before he passed away. He was 84, I think, when he passed away. He was still down there telling stories. He wasn't really doing much. He was down there having a good time. But I mean, he was still down there. That was something he definitely
was protecting his brand.
But one thing that I will say, I think a little bit from the past to the now. The past, a woman might only have 1 or 2 purses that they're going to use forever. They're not going to have 15 purses or 30 pairs of shoes, or they're not going to go to Starbucks every day. They're going to make their own coffee. I mean, I think there's a little bit of thriftiness, I think, of the past generation versus what we have now. But I also think what we have now, a lot of today's societal members prefer, what would be the word? Prefer like activities, prefer going to events versus having a house, a car, family, like
it's experiences. Versus,
there you go, experiences. Yeah. Absolutely. I think a lot of today's younger folks kind of prioritize experience over assets. You know, experiences over a new car or whatever asset, you know, a new house, whatever it might be. Not to say that inflation has definitely gotten out of control, real estate has gotten out of control. I agree with all of those things, but I also think that the generations have a different mindset on I mean, you know, like our parents or our grandparents were more about reusing things, fixing things, not just throwing them away and buying a new one. You know, brewing your own coffee, making your own meals. In 1972, how many people went out to eat? The amount of people that go out to eat now versus then is absolutely a complete astronomical difference in numbers. So I think some of what you're talking about not being able to afford or the cost of living and that kind of thing, I think some of that also stems a little bit from spending money where you want to spend your money, which is fine, but spending money where it may not make the most sense for a nest egg for the future.
Well,
I don't know what.
I maybe kind of agree with you. I agree with you at some level, but I'll just push back. The affordability crisis is real. When we bought our first home in 2020, it was over $100,000.
It wasn't 2020.
I'm sorry, 2000.
There you go.
It was a little over $100,000. I mean, it was right in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And if you try to buy that home today, it's going to be over $200,000. And our salary and wages has not doubled. The cost of that house has not gone up with how much we're making as people.
Oh no, the amount of money in circulation had a lot to do with that.
So we have inflation, yeah. So
money, you know, inflation.
So you and we agree with that, but I don't want to have the audience thinking that we're talking about. I mean, we need to put it all into context.
Sure.
We've devalued the dollar. Mm-hmm. We print. It makes the dollar worth less and less and less and less. And so all the other things are kind of a moot point, which is why we're doing also a Bitcoin and what is money kind of podcast. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, again, I think how this relates to AI right now, to kind of tune it back into this conversation, is
we were talking about AI.
Well, yeah, but you know, so there's a lot of different things going on, and a part of what we're dealing with, I think, AI is as manipulative and path changing as it has the potential of being. Is you and I, as middle-aged people with wisdom who've lived through experiences, we've talked about it as like our parents had really, really harsh times. It's also much more simple times. Mm-hmm. Like they had to figure out how to put food on the table. They had to figure out how to stay warm. They had to figure out, and so I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not complex. Mm-hmm. Now things are complex. Like we have a completely different thing. And I'm not saying there weren't people that were depressed and suicidal and anxious and whatever back then. There was a lot less of it. There was a lot better food. Just when you had food, I mean, it was food. You had eggs, you had chicken, you had meat, or you didn't have anything. You had bread. I mean, you either had it or you didn't have it. So there was scarcity, mm-hmm. but there wasn't crap, and there wasn't distraction, and there wasn't all these different things. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, except for I know that AI is a manipulative force to my 15-year-old and my 21-year-old, to my wife, to me, to you, to everyone that we know. And part of this particular podcast that we're not even really getting into with this is don't let her distract you.
I am Shonda.
Quit being a rabbit hole.
Shonda said Travis is not middle-aged. I am. I'm 42. I don't plan to live past 84, so I'm middle-aged.
That's fair. You're not going to live past 84?
Most of my family dies in their
AI,
early
one
80s.
of the AI advances is we are going to live longer. That's going to be a thing.
Medical advancement.
Yeah, medical advances will be a human flourishing perspective, but that's also going to make everything much more expensive because we're living longer and we're outliving Social Security and
our 401ks.
We're outliving everything. So there's whole universal basic income again. We have to deal with.
UBI unfortunately looks to be the only way right now.
Well, yeah. Well, the conversations have to be it. And so there's 2 final clips.
But I don't know how.
Maybe we listen to. One is 2.5 minutes long. They're both about 2.5 minutes long. So, and we're about 8 o'clock, a little after 8 o'clock. Let's listen to this. And this is kind of promoting the AI doc, which I personally haven't seen, so I'm not promoting or saying it's the end all be all. What I do appreciate about this guy's mission and what he's taking to this What Is Money podcast with Chris Williamson is a very high reach podcast. I think the other one that he was on, it's got what does it say down there, Travis? I gotta get my glasses on.
I don't know.
He's got 4.1 million subscribers. The Diary of a CEO that this Tristan Harris was on, the podcast that they did, I want to say it was less than a year ago, might have been much less than a year ago, had over 6 million views. So he has traction in what he's saying, and there's enough people paying attention to it that I think it's intelligent to dial into it. So you and I have talked about human flourishing for a long time. He's calling it a human movement. Mm-hmm. So basically, we're all focused on AI, what it's doing, positive, negative, damage, or whatever. Like, he just wants people to sit like you and me and have conversations, to go outside and talk to your neighbors and to help them when you can. I mean, it's kind of re-engaging with humanity that we've been slowly ticking away at. Social media,
going back to the past.
Social media started it where you're just spending more time. I could text you right now about something I'm thinking. I'm like, how about I just tell you, right?
Kids text on opposite sides of the sofa.
Yeah. Well, and then, and again, to the totalitarian piece of the first segment that we started with is they took our human nature and then they locked us down, put masks on us, told us we couldn't go talk to people, told us whatever. So that pushed us, I think, even more towards that isolationist, I don't want to talk to people about it. I just want to let my phone make me happy. I mean, that's what we've got into that dopamine hit of this phone, which is, everyone knows it, but it's an AI genius. Mm-hmm. It's going to have the top software and the most manipulative software, unless you have a protected phone or you disconnect from your devices altogether, which I'm not saying we need to do en masse. But there definitely needs to be a human movement again, and I think the human flourishing element. That's why I want to end with this. The AI doc movie, I think you and I need to talk about whether we can do a watch party. It did about 80% negative and about 20% positive in that trailer. You thought it was 90-10. You're probably closer to accurate in the number. But the end all is, this isn't a podcast that's like, let's just talk about the dark shit and scare people and then run away. Like, that's the exact opposite of where I want to go with this. We need to engage. We need to talk about it. Tell me what you agree with me on. Tell me what you disagree or agree with on this clip. What do we do? What is the human movement? What is human flourishing to you? What can we do to make Evansville a small town again? So we're talking about growth and we're having these conversations with Joe and other people. And I don't like the idea of growth just for growth's sake. I mean, that's kind of, I think, what got us in this predicament. I think we need to think about what growth really means and what it looks like in our community. And how can we make it to where it's affordable for your kid if she wants to build a house when she first gets married. I don't think people, when they first get married, most people can't afford to just build a house anymore. That's the problem. And it's not because they don't want to work. It's because the wages aren't keeping up with the cost to build things and do things.
There's also a finite amount of land. I mean...
Yeah, not really, but you're right. I mean, there's some of that. There's all that stuff. There's nuances to the conversation. I'm not suggesting.
Sorry, yeah.
I mean, we have an affordability crisis. I think there's energy price. I mean, we haven't mentioned Centerpoint. We're going to flip them the bird today because we haven't did that yet. But,
they need to make a sound clip for that?
We need a
center point button.
Yeah, there needs to be. That is actually a really good. Let's use AI and create a little clip that is our little signal to flip them off however we can in an audio way.
Yeah.
Without saying an F-bomb or something on the podcast. Yeah. So let's listen to this clip. We could potentially do 2 more, but it's a short one, and then I want to get your ideas on it, and we can go from there.
Make transparent common knowledge.
Exactly. We're trying to make transparent common knowledge. And one of the ways you think about it is the movement has to see itself. There is a movement for humane technology. There is a movement for a human future. It just hasn't had a way to experience itself yet. And when you see graffiti on a New York subway ad for an AI product people don't need, people saying, I don't want this, or AI is not inevitable, that's the human movement. When you see kids gather in Central Park for the Lamplight Club and delete social media off their phones together, that's a club that's in New York, that's the human movement. There's so many things that people are already doing that is part of this. We just haven't had a name for, we're fighting back for reclaiming and protecting what's really human. Because again, our political voice is about to not matter. Once all the jobs get automated by AI, and governments and companies don't have to listen to the people because we're not the ones that are generating the revenue. You could have a union before when the factories need the human labor, and then the human labor can get together and express its common voice. We want this instead of that. We want to be paid like this. We don't want these working standards. What happens when the companies and the countries don't need you anymore? This is literally the last time that our political voice will matter. And this is the time to express that voice in many different ways. You can boycott unsafe AI companies or AI companies that enable mass surveillance. What did we just see with the thing that went down with the Pentagon and Anthropic last week? Is that subscriptions for ChatGPT went down like tons, and subscriptions for Anthropic went up by a lot. If it wasn't just individuals that were doing that, but entire Fortune 500 companies that were doing that, given the amount of debt that these companies have taken on, the companies will have to respond to that market signal. So mass boycotts can have a huge effect on steering which AI future we get. Are we going to get mass surveillance? Or are we going to get a world where AI companies are incentivized to do the right things?
Are you concerned about companies that are playing the same game, but just trying to manipulate their optics in a slightly sexier way?
Absolutely.
It seems to me that the incentives for Anthropic are exactly the same as they are for everybody else. I think you mentioned you mentioned the Antichrist earlier on, Scott Alexander, who I think is the best blogger on the planet.
Yeah.
I agree. Says that Anthropic is much more likely to be the Antichrist than any other AI company because the Antichrist would present itself as being for the people. And who are we kidding? That you have the same market incentives to overtrain your models as quickly as possible with RL and your the synthetic environments to keep on pushing this thing. We need as much compute. So you can talk about the optics up front as much as you want, but really that's just window dressing on the top of a burning house.
Yep.
So there was a little positive and a little negative in there. But I think the positive to me, again, is the call to humanity to engage. And we all complain about Centerpoint a lot in the podcast now. We didn't complain as much as we used to, but we focus more on local stuff now.
Because it doesn't do any good.
Well, everyone agrees that Centerpoint is a bad monopoly, and we're trying to organize our energy and our power, no pun intended, to make change there. And we can still do that now. Right now we can. If you have a totalitarian government who's in bed with monopolies, you can't do that anymore. If they shut down your free speech, if they take away your rights, you can't have a voice. That's how Mao China and how the Nazis and how all the murderous dictators around the globe have ended whole segments of people, millions of people at a time. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not saying that's where we are. What I'm saying is there's a signal here that's correlating to a lot of the things that have happened over time. And it seems like they're not coming for necessarily our speech all the time, though they are attacking it. They're not coming for our guns necessarily all the time, but they are attacking it. What there is organized small groups of people whose voices are amplified through AI, who seem like, and I'll call out the local Democratic Party because they do this better than Republicans, because Republicans just aren't as good at marketing and messaging as Democrats are historically, period. they use a larger narrative that's going on, say with Trump or with ICE or with immigration, and they put a smiley face and a compassionate, huggy message out saying, we are against this type of oppression. These are the oppressors. These are the bad guys. While years before that, while their party was in power, they were the ones that were locking down, shutting people down, celebrating when people got punished for not masking or vaccine. So there are actually the people that are for punishing people in real time, like a totalitarian group would. And yet they're virtue signaling the fact that we're overreacting because we're seeing it that way, and we're conspiracy theories. We're conspiracy theorists. So it's absolutely not the case. This is a conversation that I want someone to hear what I just said, come disagree with what I said, tell me where I'm wrong, where I went astray. That can be a Democrat, an independent, Republican, I don't care. The fact that we're not even having that conversation at the local level, to me, is not good. We just rely on signals from what happens in Washington, and that's the party we elect locally. All of our leaders right now locally are Democrats. Does that mean all of them are bad people or not good leaders? I don't know any of them that are bad people necessarily. I know quite a few of them, and I think they're all actually good people. I don't think I agree with most of the things that they believe and how policy should be made and how power and money should be moved around the city and where things should be going. And I don't see any of them talking about this actual thing that's right here in front of us right now. Like, the most pressing thing to me is AI. Money is super important. Any kind of monopoly, any kind of
infrastructure.
Infrastructure helps small business. It helps. Is the rock star Shonda coming back in to say stuff?
Well, she's getting upset that I haven't said the things that. So let's take a step back.
I think she should have just came and sat in on the podcast.
Yeah,
she could have been in here without a camera.
Come in here. So she said there's documented proof that 600 plus disciplinary actions nationwide have been against attorneys who rely on AI for filings. So apparently that's a thing.
Yep.
She also said, has anyone said tonight how cute Chad is? No, we haven't. But Chad is a cutie patootie.
You're the only one.
She said, to his credit, Mike Goebel is asking for competition with Centerpoint.
Mike Goebel is asking for
competition with Centerpoint. So
what does Mike Goebel do now?
To break up the monopoly? I have no idea. I'm not sure who Mike Goebel is. I'm sure Shonda will tell us here in just a minute. She also says it seems that the mayor is pro-change on this point. Not sure what point she's talking about. Maybe Centerpoint, probably. And then she just said hello, screaming at me in all caps because I hadn't said.
Because you didn't answer.
Because I didn't. Because
you're paying attention to our conversation rather than what she's texting. This is how she responds when I don't answer her cell phone calls or text messages within minutes.
Okay. Well, county commissioner. Oh, Mike Goebel is the county commissioner.
Okay. And I think Goebels are mostly Democrat. And I would welcome a conversation with Mike Goebel.
Anybody
that identifies as a Democrat that can come on and take criticism about what the party as a whole has done right and wrong, what they've done right, what they've done wrong. I will agree with a lot of things that the Republican Party's done right and wrong at the local and national level. And the fact that we are so stuck in the duopoly of, if you're a Democrat, you can't say, well, that was a really stupid thing to do, and say we shouldn't have done that. Let's acknowledge it. Let's make it better. Let's do better than next time. That's the whole argument that we always go back to with COVID. We screwed up. And maybe it's because we had bad information. Maybe it's because we were relying on bigger cities and the authorities that different, health.
I think we were relying on the federal level.
Health issues start with the individual doctor and the individual patient. First, do no harm. That is why the Nuremberg trials happened, because they decided to bypass that. The fact that we still won't have a conversation about what all went down and how we might be different next time, another COVID, another health crisis of some sort. It's just a manufactured crisis, and the party.
I think it was a test on how much we would be like cattle and just do what we're told.
It proved that totalitarianism will work.
Yeah.
In rapid time. And
I'm sorry, but I just have to.
And they memory hold it.
I'm so rubbed. Like I couldn't hold my grandmother's hand until she was in a coma and didn't. Maybe she knew I was there, but the fact that they wouldn't let me in there until she was on deathbed. Like I think she died due to isolation. I think she got to talk to the family. We all got on a call on an iPad for 30 minutes every Friday afternoon. That's all the family she got.
I'm disgusted by that.
Anyway,
you've told me that story several times.
I have, but she was like a mom to me.
I'm equally disgusted every time you tell me.
She was like a mother to me,
we had I wouldn't even say similar things, but we had things happen.
I will say
that
the nursing home was just following the rules. Like they were just the rules that were handed down by the federal government.
It's just like Dr. Roy. If you either follow the rules, you comply, or they'll take away your license and they'll remove your ability to do business. And the hospitals were either a part of forcing it or they went along with the forcing of it. They forced everyone that worked for the hospital, that sick
my wife
people
had
at
to get the first jab because of that.
The government, local governments, regional, state governments, all agreed. If you have over 50 employees, you have to force your employees to do it. I mean, it was hands down.
It was crazy.
Tyranny.
Here's a phone number to turn in your neighbor if they have too many people at their house. Like
so again, I want to make sure that everyone knows this is an AI podcast.
Sorry,
but no. It's the framing of what happened during COVID that we need to now apply to every other thing that's happening at a very large level. Because are we being told the truth and nothing but the truth about AI?
I used to think we were told the truth until COVID.
Just in AI.
Just in general.
Well, I know, but
I get AI. I get where you're coming from. But in general, I thought my government's looking out for me. Yeah. We live in the land, the home, the
land of the free, home of the brave,
whatever. Yeah, sorry.
We have constitutional.
I'm butchering it, but they're taking care of us, and I kind of had the wool over my head. I was just trying to live life and do what I need to do and start a family and all these kind of things. COVID came along, and I'm like, well, holy hell, they don't care about me at all. And I think that's what you get a lot of people who are conspiracy theorists, and some people are a little more conspiracy than others, like the whole flat earthers thing. That's a whole thing. I'm not sure about the moon. Artemis 2, I'm curious how far they really went and how they got through the Van Allen.
I'd like to see the whole
radiation
film file of that.
I want to see what the butt of the moon looks like.
We should see a whole film recording of that whole flight, right?
I would love to.
Why would that not be available? I don't know.
That's country security. I don't know.
We just started the next conspiracy theory about Artemis. Like, why wasn't there had to be a camera pointing in all directions
at all times?
It was recorded the whole time. We should see the whole journey.
The whole journey
in 360,
going up into lower Earth orbit, hanging out for a little bit
for 10 days straight. No, for 10 days straight, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we see that? If you want to sell the next NASA program, show me that stuff. I'd love to see it. It's fantastic.
We'll never see. I just want to see the. I want to see the dark side of the moon. I want to see the back side of the moon. I would love to see. I jokingly said the butt of the moon, but I mean, we never see that. Why wouldn't we have video and pictures of what that looks like? But then, even if we did, I would question its authenticity and stuff too. So I mean, just thanks to COVID, like I think it was almost it went so far one direction that I think it went beyond what they had hoped, and it caused a whole splintering of people's faith in the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I know COVID was a global thing, but I mean, for me, I became a much higher, I questioned many more things. I agree with much less. I believe much less.
You decided to come on some crazy dude's podcast.
I did. But I would, before pre-COVID, I would have thought you were a loon, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. I would have thought that you're just a crazy
and you might not
dude who was on the fringes of they didn't really land on the moon. I don't know. I still remember to this day, I've got a buddy who's in the Air Force. He is a denier of the moon landing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So is Dr.
And I made fun of him so hard.
Shout out to Dr. Roy. He's also an anti-moon landing guy.
Well, I now am too. But there was a book that we got for his kid that's something about landing on the moon or something. It was a kind of a joke. But I mean, he was a staunch, we did not land on the moon. I was you're a nutbag for thinking we didn't land on the moon. Post-COVID, I reevaluated. I don't think we landed on the moon. Like, I don't know. That's just one little thing. But it's just COVID, I think, my whole point was that what happened during COVID, I think, opened more eyes than caused people to follow the government. Like, to just follow blindly the government. Right. It showed a lot of people will blindly follow the government, but I think it opened opened eyes that would not have normally been opened. So I mean, that's like the only good thing I think that came out of COVID. Shonda is chiming in like crazy.
Is she mad?
Not crazy.
Is she mad? She mad again that you didn't respond right
She
away?
said, "Jesus, kids, did Travis just call you a loon?"
No, he said I used to be a loon.
I would have thought you were a loon. So I didn't say you were a loon. I would have thought that you were a loon pre-COVID probably. But and I know, and we've spoken to people off the air. We won't name names. I've spoken to people that probably wouldn't come out into the public and say it. But there are so many people that took the exact same track as me.
Yeah.
My local government, my federal government is here to protect me. It is telling me. I mean, not maybe. Maybe I didn't believe they were telling me the whole truth. Like, I mean, the JFK thing, whatever, like maybe not the whole truth, but I felt like they were being fairly truthful to me. They were looking out for me. They were looking out for my family. Now I don't believe that.
Well, Shonda, God bless her soul, and
Anyway.
thank you for listening.
Shonda said we absolutely landed on the moon.
My dear,
Shonda is a moon lander.
So we're going to do a podcast with Shonda about.
She's a moon lander believer.
Well, so we'll have to have a nice podcast about that.
I didn't know that. Chris said no one should blindly follow anyone.
What I
agree with that.
What I will say is I want to have faith in our institutions again. I want to have institutions that we can trust. I think
I don't know how they get that trust back.
For society, you have to acknowledge that you screwed some shit up along the way.
Well, yeah, that'd be good.
And that's step one. Step one is that, and they're not doing that. But the it's so destabilizing as a community and as a country to not be able to trust people, because trust is a huge thing that is required to have a thriving community. I mean, the handshake that our parents' used to have for a business deal was a thing.
Your word was
There's
the most
trust.
important
There's
thing.
trust there. There's institutional trust. Not because that person is an institution, but because your morals and values said that handshake means something. And if you don't live up to that handshake, somebody's going to take you out back and whip the shit out of you. I mean, that's at the end of the day, or worse.
Or you'll tarnish your entire family.
Or worse. You know, it could be much worse. But I think in the end, the last clip I'm not going to share because I just want to. He talks about a human movement. We've talked about human flourishing, and the summary of the last clip basically was: right now, large companies, including AI, they're rewarded for people who doom scroll. Like, they're rewarded by screen time. They get influencers get paid by views on their podcast.
Yeah, the platform
like
pays on
if
the
this
times.
particular podcast for whatever reason got 3 million views, you and I would start making more money. Like, we're gonna have money.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have money now, but so whatever we got to do.
Our 7 viewers don't really.
No, but I mean it's 8, but no, we're not.
Oh, sorry.
Kidding. So right now, companies and even AI companies, Meta, all these different things are rewarded by doom scrolling. They're rewarded by an amount of time that, people are lonely. So speed dating apps or dating apps are rewarded by people who have social fear and don't think that they can meet people out in public. So they got to get on an app and do it. So they're rewarded for getting people on an app. So they're rewarding companies for non-physical events. This guy's potential small cure, and I think it could be done much better at a local level, would be rewarding technology and applications that incentivized people and rewarded people for getting out to public events. Like, we're going to have a
There were
public
some
thing.
people that tried.
Let's
There was a
everyone
walking
leave
app.
our phone and go to a baseball game and just engage with people and not have that. Like, have little small things that you can get back to where we were, just so you can see it again. Like, that's a human movement. I mean, what he's going to say is a human movement, but I mean, I think AI is going to get better and better at incentivizing distraction and taking over what we're thinking, and it's just dangerous. That's dangerous to do that. To allow a company, an algorithm, a rapid learning AI that's more intelligent than you ever consider being, to manipulate your every thought, your every click, your every view. You do a search for one thing and it gives you a slight variant and pushes you in a different direction. I mean, your phone is learning that about you. And so I think where this guy gets it right is we need to force these AI companies to allow us to be in the conversation, to put guardrails on. you and I have talked about creating the technology where we have our own AI software or installation into our phones, into our router, into our node, whatever we have, where it can take everything that we digest. Let's just play out a scenario real quick as our last segment. Let's say you and I, you're my son. I mean, you'd be a much older son. I'm 53. Let's pretend I'm 60 and you're 50.
You could be my crazy uncle
45.
You could be my crazy Uncle Chad.
I'm 60, you're 45. Okay.
All right.
We agree that our phones are manipulating us, and so we want to insert a program into our household to where it knows everything that I've looked at in a day, and it's private to me. I don't want other people knowing that. But it can see the things that I've seen and see the directions that I was taken. Same with you. And it can give us a quick summary of, hey, you searched for this thing, and then all of a sudden you were way over in left field, and it told you this, this, and this. Well, I've done my own research based on our personal large language model that you've programmed me to help protect you. And I want you to know that this thing either distracted you for an hour or it told you this, this, and this. And based on our language model, learning model, it's actually, this is the actual do. So it's self-correcting in some way. And it's filter, you can control the filters for you and your daughter in your own household because you're able to see, well, she got on this app because it seemed like a really good app and she was learning this thing. And then all of a sudden she saw some, I'm not even going to put a name on whatever the thing she saw was, but it's something weird that you don't want your kids seeing.
You don't even want to talk about all the shit.
You might not even know every second that she saw it, but she did see it. But if you don't address it and you don't talk to her about it, then it goes into her memory now. And now she's going to see the next thing, and then she's going to lean a little bit more into that thing that's distracting her from her true self. So I don't even know where I'm going with this particular thing, except for I don't know how we don't have just decentralized protection software built into our homes and built into our personal devices that are looking out for us and us only, and that we can control. I think it's a gazillion-dollar idea that I think if every person on the planet could give you $1 to protect you from people trying to manipulate you, I mean, I think that'd be worth money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And that's a human flourishing thing. That's a human movement. So let's reward people for seeking truth. Let's reward people who are willing to have conversations that might seem loony to people like you 5 years ago, but aren't, like, once you have a time to reflect back, it's like, it wasn't so loony. He wasn't right about everything. I'm not going to claim I was right about everything, but I was, at least I'm like, something's not right. What are we doing? So, I mean, I think let's round it out, and I want you to comment on it, but just where do we go from here? Like, what regular AI conversations do we need to have at a household level, local level, city level? I mean, we're trying to rebuild the vision of the city of Evansville in some ways. We're having conversations about it. Like, what do we need to do? You're a technology guy. You're in AI all the time.
Yeah, no, I made bullet points. I mean, I can quickly kind of go over. I made some bullet points or some topics that we're not going to get to tonight. But I mean, I wrote down here. I said, the AI in the future of work. The job killer or the job transformer. That's where I kind of thought about the malleability or being able to just kind of, instead of losing your job, maybe you can transform your job into being able to do something else. I put down here about like a productivity boom. I think that the closer future or the next, say 5 years, I think there's going to be a productivity boom, but I think there will eventually be a productivity paradox. I think
productivity at the individual level,
and globally, I guess, maybe, like, as far as just being able, just the productivity of AI itself, like what it can do. Like, I put down here, I just put some like things like incorrect outputs, uneven ROI, limited gains in specific programming. I just put like,
I agree with your bullet point. I guess my little pushback, I want to understand, like, most AI companies and tech companies are built into their business plan is how is AI going to help us reduce the amount of people that are working for us. And even ChatGPT has made significant cuts. Google makes significant cuts all the time. And so while I do agree productivity generally will escalate with better and better intelligence that's not human, I don't think
it doesn't mean job growth, but yeah.
Well, I just want to clarify what we're talking about there, because I think there's pros to what you're saying if we have a plan to offset what that means on the other side, which I don't think we have.
No, we really don't. See, I put in here like AI in healthcare and science, like you talked about, like kind of the good of that. Like we'll probably be able to live longer, probably, and be able to,
no doubt about it,
maybe solve, be able to treat cancers better, be able to treat.
Well, I mean, the best radiologist can tell you that a large language model can look at a scan and test results and see things that human eyes and the limited.
A human can't. Yeah,
a human doesn't have all the context of all the cases and all the people and all the. I mean, like it can look at everything and
at
say
one time.
Yeah, all at one time.
I put in here the concern of deep fakes, misinformation, and the erosion of trust. We talked about that a little bit today. So we've kind of hit some of this. The ethics and bias in AI, like can machines be fair? I put in here, like, so I was just curious. I think about from day to day whether or not. I think it's going to boil down to whoever programs the AI, whoever trains the AI, and whoever owns the AI, whoever controls it. I think is going to kind of be, because once again we talked a little bit about where the concerns of AI are. I think it's going to be more concerns of AI or of human intervention with the AI or the human that's controlling the AI. I don't know that we're going to have just this massive rogue AI that's going to take over everything, have the nuclear silos, it's just going to control everything, and it's going to be a Terminator situation. I don't personally necessarily see it, or maybe I hope that we don't see that. But anyway,
you're just being optimistic, and
that's more my optimism probably versus. I don't think it's.
It's not realistic. I don't think it's.
I don't think it's. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I don't think it's not realistic. It's a possibility, but I think it's it's a lower percentage possibility.
Yeah, if you work in Washington and you're trying to prevent something crazy like that from happening, it's absolutely a possibility. You can't ignore it.
I talked about AIs being personal assistants to help, like a helpful companion. So you literally just talked about that. So it's funny, we're kind of on the same page there, like having your own personal, maybe on-device companion so that it doesn't reach out to anything, it doesn't give any information out. It's just something that will.
There's a lot of clips that I didn't share tonight. So every one of these I think is good. I'm going to give you like a 30-second pushback on just some of them.
Yeah,
I think
I've got like 10.
I think there's a lot of really good ones from a personal education perspective. Like if you're behind in a class, you can say, here's my test results, here's where help me get leveled up with my class. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think where things go astray, and again there's a lot of clips out there in different podcasts, is one of the things that the transhumanists will say, and transhumanists has a whole definition that people can look up on their own, is like the Mark Zuckerbergs and whatever want to have Meta and other AIs as people's best friends. Like you should have 10 different friends who are AIs that are having in-depth conversation with you, and
we've talked about creating those
supporting agents. You and bringing you up when you need to be brought. The problem is you take out the human element, the touch, humanity, like you lose actual trust and connection with actual humans, and that is very much what transhumanism is.
And it's got to
not positive.
It's got to get a little better. Everybody's seen some of the news stories of some AIs that just reinforce whatever is fed to them. So you've got kids in there that are saying, I'm being bullied at school. I feel like I'm not good enough. And then it comes back and says, well, you're not good enough. Maybe you should. Maybe this world isn't the world for you, and you should get out of it. The kids that killed themselves because the AI kind of pushed them to it, only because they reinforced what was ever fed what was fed to them. So I mean, yeah.
And then the AI company's like, whoops, I guess we needed some guardrails there.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. What else did I put? AI's ability to help environmental and energy costs. I feel like that there could be some optimization in energy use, and like sectors being able to take energy that's, I was thinking like being able to rotate with almost daylight. So when civilization, when like cities, when countries are awake, to be able to point maybe more electricity at that portion of the globe, or if you just want to keep it countrywide, have more energy to the East Coast whenever daylight comes around and be able to kind of manipulate the grid to help even out energy relocation and whatnot to try to help with not having quite as many brownouts and that kind of thing.
I don't have any pushback on what you just said. I do want to add, for anyone that is interested in AI and data centers and really concerned about that, pay attention. And we could have some controversial conversations about what Elon Musk is doing or not doing and the threats that he brings to humanity as a whole. But he is talking about putting data centers on the moon. And so all the people that are anti-data centers, you need to determine whether you're anti-data center just because you don't want data centers and why, or you're anti-data centers in your backyard because of all the environmental noise, water pollution, all the different things that could be a problem if they are in your backyard. There's two different, very distinct conversations that need to be had.
Well, and if they are in your backyard, maybe you can require, we talked about that with even Joe when he was here, that you can have requirements of, them providing their own energy source and maybe even requiring them to have energy plus a certain percentage to put that on the MISO grid so that the local community can take advantage of some of that energy that you're creating. Those are just going to have to be benefits that are kind of negotiated into allowing that data center to be in your backyard.
Well, again,
as you just said.
That's a huge conversation I think needs to be had.
It's gigantic. Continue. I'm just trying to hit these bullet points real quick. One, I put AI in education, so you already kind of talked about that. Being able to kind of create individual learning plans for the individual kid, kind of getting out of being so structured, because some kids
personalized tutor.
Yeah, well, I mean, some kids do terrible on standardized testing, but they're actually very knowledgeable about the material. They just get anxious or whatever, or learn in different ways. Some learn visually with.
I think standardized testing personally is the stupidest thing that we ever done.
But we don't have anything better. That's the problem. Is there's not really anything better to gauge whether or not the school is doing what they're supposed to do, and that's where it boils down to the school being able to gauge whether or not the school is doing what they're supposed to do, so that they can get monetary. Or so they can get grants and things from the federal government or whatever. My wife and I have had this exact conversation.
Whole structure.
And the problem is that there's just nothing better yet. If somebody comes up with something better to gauge that, then great. And maybe AI will be that tool that will assist us in being able to gauge, if they interact with, if every student has their own individual AI and they interact with that AI all the time, and that AI is going to be able to quantify whether or not that kid is doing as good as they should, or doing not doing as well, or doing better, or whatever it might be. I think that's kind of a
so excuse me. My little breakdown on that one is anyone that's interested in education, advancement, and best preparing ourselves and our kids for the future that's coming. I do have full intention of having another very specific podcast dedicated just to education and preparation for ourselves and for our kids. Like you said it, and I don't know if I can go back to the exact term that you use, malleable. So like the skills that I think we all need and all of our kids will need to adjust and adapt to anything and everything. And I'm not just talking about jobs. Like what skills and what mindsets do we need to have to, like, this has just happened. How are we going to react? How are we going to respond? How are we going to, not only survive but thrive with this new paradigm we've just been thrust into?
Yep. I mean, I agree with that. And then the kind of the last bullet point I had here is I just put existential risks versus transformative benefits. And what I kind of meant by that is, we've already discussed this, but being able to solve grand problems, like being able to solve disease or hunger, or just being able to figure out the things that we haven't been able to figure out, because it can see everything at one time and be able to crunch all that data. But so I put disease, climate, if that's truly an issue.
Just real quickly, to solving hunger at our most local levels, at the lead local level, we have basically what equates to limitless amount of farm ground and planting ground.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of farmers that are paid to not farm.
There should be no hunger in our area. There are food deserts. We talked about this on another podcast not too long ago. I think Joe mentioned it. There are food deserts. There are places around the world that can't have the food, that grow the food that like we can. At the end of the day, we have to, again, revisioning me looking at Evansville and our surrounding counties and area, is there's no way that we should not have organic farms as far as the eye can see to feed our local population. And I'm okay with redistributing wealth to pay a little more myself for organic sweet potatoes and organic food that's grown in our backyard. Again, like cows that are grass-fed and finished with pure organic food. And I don't mind taking part of that food and giving it to people that don't have the money to pay for it and redistributing food, not wealth, not SNAP programs, whatever. How many people do we have? How much food is needed? Let's do the math. Let's use AI. Let's figure out how much farm ground we can give local farmers, organic farmers, small farmers to. You're going to raise rabbits, you're going to raise chickens, you're going to raise whatever, and no one will be hungry. We don't have to rely on a boxed food from Kellogg's to end hunger locally. So let's end hunger locally. Let's not ever have to say that again. And then however we can contribute nationally, state level, nationally, globally, then let's think outwards. That's where I think the make Evansville great again or make Evansville healthy again thing that we talked about is let's really do focus on ourselves and our surrounding counties, only because that'll help us be stronger to help other people outside of our area. I like if we're all healthy and getting good food and have that one, we have good food and good water, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Is that going to be a new platform though? Are we going to be the mega movement? Make Evansville great again?
Make Evansville, I don't know.
It's mega.
Are you Mega Man? Miha. Make Evansville healthy again.
You said great again. I was just.
I mean, I
just liked mega.
We could argue what I think you mentioned great, and you outlined we rose to the occasion and we were great during
World War II.
World War II.
Absolutely.
So that was just our spirit and our
wartime museum, baby. Go to it.
Yeah, go to it. I want to just give this is just a special thanks to people that are giving to the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Uncle.
I've had Uncle Jerry. His company actually came out and they've put some things on our hackberry trees. Hackberries have some kind of specific.
Was that the insect?
And they secrete nasty stuff all over our deck and all over our driveway and whatever. I had no idea. I thought it was just like I just want to cut down the hackberry. I was like, this hackberry is just evil, and so like I got educated and I'm like, okay, let's do the treatment. And I'm like, how much is this going to cost me? And well, Jerry's supporting the programs. I'm like, it doesn't matter, but it's a give and take kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I thought that's the price, and I'm gonna have to probably clean my deck much less and clean my driveway. Well worth it. But just solid company, solid people. We're gonna be promoting our buddy Jeff here really soon when we open up the new podcast studio. His name will be on that, all over that. Our buddy Jason stepped in today and helped us.
Jason's the man, yeah.
He needs to be listening to every podcast and tell us when the audio goes off. So
I won't. I'll try not to jack that up.
You don't say you won't.
Have a plan. We already have a plan to fix that issue. It's probably not going to happen until we get to the new space. But
okay. I don't even know what the plan is, but maybe I do.
The microphone.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, I appreciate you. This has been a great conversation.
It really has. It's been. I hate to say this. It's been better than I thought it would be.
Okay.
And it's lasted longer than I thought it would.
Well, and you were more receptive to what he was saying than I thought you would be. Meaning, I don't think you necessarily agree with everything that he has to say, but you're like, I can accept that there is a risk there. I just don't agree. I don't disagree with.
No.
I don't agree with the level that he maybe agrees that the level of risk is there, but that's disinterpretive that we won't know until 50 years from now.
I think there's the ability, there's the option of risk, but I don't think there's like eagle eye or matrix. Like I just don't feel like I feel like we're going to be able to take care of it, and maybe that's my folly. I don't know, but I feel like that it's not going to get to the point where the AI is going to control us all, is going to control everything to be able to control us all, is going to be able to blackmail us all or whatever. It might. But I would like to think that we, as its creators, will be able to maybe keep it in check better than some of the dooms that some of the doom and gloom people think that it may go to. I am not I'm not in the high enough echelon of the AI world to really know if that's true or not. Maybe some of them are. Maybe some of them are the doom and gloom because that's what sells. We've talked about that. Clickbait, views, time on your doom scrolling. That makes money.
Well, and here's one general thing that I'll just say, and it's completely off topic and a rabbit hole, but just to wrap it up.
Yep.
If you receive any message from any company via email, via text, via phone, and they're threatening something against you, telling you that you're about to lose this service, telling you that your brother or aunt or something needs money, 99.99% of the time, that's going to be a spam an AI attack. And so, and our older relatives are much more susceptible to this because AIs know that, people that aren't tech savvy or haven't received. I think you received a scam earlier. That's what made me think about this.
I'm looking at see if he chimed in. Yeah, but.
So and so I just want you to take care of the people around you, love the people around you, know that I believe there will be a lot of flourishing from AI. We're trying to have the right conversations to put the guardrails on about negative AI and what that looks like, and I think just generally here in Evansville, Southern Indiana, the surrounding counties, we are uniquely positioned to really use AI in a way that's transformative to our community. And I don't think we have that vision at all yet. I don't think there's anything in place. But part of this particular podcast series that will be happening very regularly, very soon, will be focusing on how we can use this technology and all other technologies to make Evansville a better place for everyone.
Mega.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know how many people watch the program that are anti-Trump. Maybe, I don't know.
This has nothing to do with Trump. It just make Evansville great.
They put make America great again is forever attached to him.
Yeah,
so if you really want America to be better, you're a right-wing extremist that likes Trump. And I'm like, no, I just really want America to be better. I don't care what the bumper sticker is attached to. I just want the results to happen. So
agreed.
I appreciate everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Love everyone. Subscribe. We've had some troubles with Spotify here recently, but everything's going to be on Rumble, YouTube. If you want to contribute to the program, Patreon, you can look up United Divided. And as always, you can reach out, direct message me. I appreciate all the support, all the input, and all the love. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Travis. Appreciate you, bro.
Have a good night.
See ya.